Define my travels as you can. What's going on, everybody? Hello, everyone. I actually should have started maybe with Critical Hit for tonight, but in any case, welcome, everybody. Hello to the GOG-lings. Hello, GOG-lings. It's good to see you all. I hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to episode 73 of Pen and Pixels. I am your host, Arvin Elleron, and today we have got some Dungeons & Dragons in the mix, my favorite game. You're going to have a chance to hang out with the GOG stream team today, because that's the kind of way we do it. So I hope you guys are having a pleasant day. I hope you guys enjoyed the game that Outstart played right before me, and I am looking forward to some good times with this. Before we get started, quick reminder on how to support the channel. Please follow the channel if you haven't done so already. Please consider subscribing to the channel because we have a bunch of awesome emotes. This is the part where everyone who is subscribed to the channel throws up the awesome DRM free style quality emotes that we have at GOG, so please do that. That also, of course, supports charity when you do that. And please check out all of our individual channels as well. We all have our own individual Patreons and individual creative, we're partnered with Twitch, and or we have our own individual creative things that we do elsewhere. So please consider doing that because we are a team of individuals who volunteer to stream here, and we love doing it, and it's awesome when you guys can come join us, as so many of you have from GOG heading over to our channel. So today is D&D as we continue with the stream team, with the GOG stream team, and playing Storm King's Thunder. So I'm going to introduce you to those folks, but before I do that, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to turn on this. There we go. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Welcome. I am wearing today my Thundercats shirt. Oh, because I like it. And yeah, so that is what I'm wearing today. But in no way does that mean that there's going to be any kind of violence that the stream team has to worry about. I'm sure they'll do just fine. Speaking of that stream team, though, I am going to unmute myself in Skype so they can now hear that we're ready to go over to them. Then I'm going to unmute them, and then I'm going to head over there at this moment. Zip. Dun, 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 and there we are. And what you see in front of you is the GOG stream team. Hello, everyone. You'll notice that we are one down, actually, because our good friend Memories in 8-Bit is having internet trouble. And so my hope is that if one of you, not Pyron because she's already with us, but if one of the other of you living in Germany or nearby could go over and make sure that Chris's internet is fixed, that would be great. Since I have the standard American's vision of geography, I assume that means you just go next door. That's what I would assume would happen. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
That's literally how geography works.
I figured as much. Like, it's always here. It's like in New York, upstate New York, for people living in New York City, is like when you get over the border of the city. Like, pretty much like 500 feet north is upstate. And that's anywhere from Buffalo and Niagara Falls to like 1 inch north of the border. So that's the way we do things. But in any case, 8-Bit got infected by the Virgin Media virus. Yes. Well, hopefully he will be back with us as soon as possible. But in the meantime, we have 3 intrepid adventurers who are going to join us for Storm King's Thunder with the GOG stream team. And I'm going to start with the gentleman all the way over to the right, and then we'll work back this way. Hello, Screaming Joypad, also known as Mike. How are you, sir? And who are you playing today? Also, what is that thing behind you? Next to the thing.
I'm glad you asked. Right, first things first. Hi, everyone. Obviously, I'm Mike, also known as Screaming Joypad. I'm playing Ura Ash, or Ura, to his friends and cohorts, and people who can remember part of his name when he said it as he was gibbering and flailing around with axes, who is the half-orc barbarian, who is a devout follower of Tempest, who likes to find just the best fights he can and the worthiest opponents. He's a chaotic good half-orc barbarian, and quite frankly, he doesn't know when to stop being chaotic good, for better or worse. Now, you did ask a very good question. The guy behind me is Freddie Merchantry. Now, you may remember him from such games as Crypt of the Necrodancer. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to squeeze him, and he's going to start singing. I don't know if you can hear this. Oh!
That's
he has
awesome.
several sound effects. I recently found him. I used to have a big bunch of mascots behind me. Some people who used to watch the GOG cast will remember this. But I had to put lots of them away. And I recently found him, and I was like, yes, he's definitely going back on the chair.
That's awesome. I love that. Wow. Is that like, I mean, was that just like a novelty thing, or was that more common now? Like, I mean, you can find those other ways.
They sell it at indiebox.com.
That's
go to the indiebox.com. I've just understood this. Some people can't quite hear this, so I'm afraid I'm going to take up another couple of seconds of the stream, and I'm going to squeeze him again.
Drop the beat. Drop the beat. Drop the beat.
He goes on like this for a while. There you go.
Nice. That is so cool. I love it. I feel like at the right appropriate moments, if you do something incredibly dramatic, I feel like that's the time to pull the guy out, just like, like Gleek actually leaps out from a bush and starts doing that, or something like that. So who are you playing today, sir? Or did you already say that and I missed it?
I know, I already did all of that.
Oh, damn it. I was so busy paying attention to the guy behind the chair, I missed that. Okay. So it's good to have, that's right, Chaotic Good. You say, I remember now. Yes, I'm all back with it. I got it, now that I'm focused on everything. Wonderful to have you back, as always, sir. Moving right along, in the middle of the three of you today, we have I've never been able to think of a good alliterated way to say, like, I want to say like something cool like Welsh Ninja or Welsh Assassin, and it just never works. Like Welsh Wanker doesn't do it. That's the opposite point of what you mean.
I've had that before, though.
Yeah, I'm sure. How are you, Saber? What's up? And how's life? And who are you playing?
I'm doing great, thank you very much. And I'm once again slipping into the very finely tailored shoes of Celsic Mauer, Halfling Thief Extraordinaire, and Stealer of Kills.
And Stealer of Kills. Yes, indeed. We've already seen that as well. Oh my God, you already found the Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's their exclusive shopkeeping plush. Welsh Worst. No, see, Cap, we're not looking for Welsh Worst. We want something that makes him feel good about himself, not something which makes him feel gradually lesser and
Welsh
lesser.
Wonder.
Yeah.
Welsh Wonder.
Welsh Wonder. Welsh Wizard. Except you're not a wizard, but, you know.
Yeah. It would have worked if I had been a wizard.
Well, anyway, it is good to have you back with us. The intrepid rogue of the party, continuing his work. He actually led the invasion force of the goblins back, and then tried to hide while the rest of the goblins sort of broke that cover. But it was okay. Well, that happened. Good to have you back, sir. And last but certainly not least, of course, sitting right next to me on your screen as you watch chat is, of course, the inestimable Pyron Jade. Hi, Pyron. How are you? And
hello.
And how is life? I know that you are newly coiffed. Your hair is newly cut, and you're very pleased with it.
Yeah, that makes me very happy. But hello, everyone. Hello, chat. And I also would like to propose Welsh Wonder Boy.
Welsh Wonder Boy. Yeah, look at all these names. Welsh Wonder Boy. That's a good one. I like that. We also have Welsh Wacky Meister, Welsh Warlock, Welsh Wascal. Welsh
Wabberjockey.
Welsh Wabberjockey. that let me tell you, that'll make people stand up and take notice. I am the Welsh Wabberjockey guy. Well, whip smart. Anyway, who are you playing, Pyron, and how are you on this fine day?
I'm playing Greta Goldenfire again, as always, and she is a dwarven cleric, and she might have a little pyromanic streak, but she's really, really very nice. Sometimes bullies people around and sets things on fire, but she's really, really nice and just tries to help everybody along. Yes, and I like how you kept going back to, and also tries to set people on fire, but also is nice, but also wants to set people on fire. You know, that combination of events is very important. Well, it's good to have everybody here, and yes, we are pleased to have these folks back playing Storm King's Thunder. As a quick recap for people, those of you who have not followed so far, first of all, let me recommend, if you haven't, that you check out, I do have on my YouTube channel previously archived broadcasts of this, just so you can see what's gone on in the adventure to this point. But the quick summary of it is that after these adventurers set off from the town of Tribor, where they had successfully defeated the creatures there, they ended up here at Nightstone, where they found a city that had most recently been under siege. There are these giant boulders lying everywhere, giant rocks and stones, and what they ended up finding out over time is that those stones and boulders had been thrown from flying castles by giants, and that having been encountered this, they ended up running to the hills, essentially, whereupon many of the goblins captured them that lived in these places called the Dripping Caves and sent a division of goblins, essentially, if you can call goblins a division, but sent them to Nightstone to take over and basically to run the joint. And so when these guys arrived and found out about all that, they ended up going up to the Dripping Caves. They ended up saving all of those people, and in the process they met Siren, who is the elven character played by Memories in 8-Bit, currently not appearing in this picture at the moment. And they met him,
and then they came back. They brokered a deal, basically, with the big boss of the goblins, that the goblins would leave the village as long as the village basically would leave the goblins alone. And then so they came back to the town, except that there was a little bit of a wrinkle, because when they got back to the town, they found that these groups of Zentara mercenaries basically came and were essentially, it was kind of they wanted to establish a base of operations, is more or less the way things happened. They wanted to kind of establish some kind of a base of operations there, and they ended up working together with them because there was an orcish attack on the village while this was going on. And so there was this orcish attack. Urash had an epic showdown that many of us may remember with the orc chieftain. They were eventually defeated thanks to the careful application of diplomacy by Greta Guldenfire, who went back to the cave to explain why it was a good thing. The goblins ended up agreeing to help her so long as she would provide them not one but 2 chefs. So she owes them 2 chefs that they have to be able to provide to the goblins.
Well,
you know.
Actually, I more or less only owe them 2 meals a day.
Right. He was very clear about the chef. Like he sort of had this idea of chefs in his mind, but I think if you give him 2 meals, it'll probably be fine. What a meal qualifies as, we'll see. And then Selsig went ahead to return to the village, ended up trying to hide and stop the orc invaders until all the goblins showed up and basically overran him and sort of let everyone know where he was. But he ended up with success and luck and all that. Ended up warding off the orcish attack, defeated the orcs. And ended up basically cutting a deal with the Zentarim, and essentially that's where we found ourselves, except for one last bit, which is that at the very end of the adventure, or the very end of the session, I should say, when the party looked up, they saw to the north a floating castle in the distance, and it was at that point that we cut the scene. And so that's where we're actually going to start out. And I will describe this to you folks again. That you guys see an enormous tower which is floating on a billowy cloud 1,000 feet overhead. The tower must be hundreds of feet tall, and its spire looks strangely like a pointy wizard's hat. As the tower drifts closer, stairs made of clouds begin to form underneath it and descend toward you.
What descends?
The tower.
Oh, balls.
And the tower. Now, it doesn't descend too far. It descends probably about 300-400 feet. And then from there, these stairs made of clouds begin to form underneath and descend towards you. Wow. And the cloud, there's this voomp, 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 cloud stair, and eventually gets all the way to the town square where you were standing, looking over. And so there are now these cloud stairs in front of you.
Fantastic. Where's my character? Where's my dude?
First things first, I'm just going to roll my hit dice for my level 4.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I
let's
also
do that.
need to do that.
And let me bring your characters on board. Vaughn. Let's see.
5.
Oh, that's right. That's the wrong guy. 2.
Okay.
And 3. Now, what I'm going to have to do is...
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's happening here?
So these are, your avatars. Now, I don't know if you guys want to do that. You could. Or if you want to do like a figure.
Well, we have figures already. Like, I've got a figure here. However...
Oh, you found your figure. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is it easier for people in chat to see the avatars or the figures? I'd rather do... If it's easier for people in chat to know where we are in regards to seeing the avatars. Because the figures are a little, I'm probably the larger one with the axe. Celtic's probably the darker one, if that makes sense. But it can sometimes get a little bit muddled up if it's a bit zoomed out.
So let's do this. Instead of doing that, let's put these 3. I'm going to put them up at the top of Roll20. And that way, chat will be able to see these things. So.
Wait.
So they'll be able to see these
wrong.
icons as to what they are. I like these avatars too. Yeah, Jedi likes the figures because they fit with the map.
Okay.
How does this?
Hello, Lovelust. In before the clouds dissipate, leaving the party falling to their mutilation.
I knew it. I get a +3. I get a +3 on my hit dice. I never took that.
So, Mike, is that okay? Are you cool with that? Is that a reasonable solution?
Am I okay? Yeah, I'm perfect, mate.
Okay. I want to make sure that everyone is cool.
You're the dungeon master. Do what's best for you.
Well, it doesn't.
Say, Byron, I think that's right.
It doesn't really matter to me too much, although I just realized that I got to make sure that they stay in one place. Anyway, I'll figure it out. You know what I want to do? Actually, I don't have time to do this now, but I think after the stream, I want to take each of these pictures and have them available so that I can put them like. I'd like to stack them down the left side of the map so people could see the character portraits as well as you guys. But it's the left side of the map on OBS as opposed to in Roll20. So I'll do that later. But okay, good. Excellent.
Okay, cool. So
so dice rolling. So let's see this. Let's see the dice rolls. What do we got?
Look, I rolled a 4, but I forgot to add my 3 from Constitution, so it's actually a 7.
So you actually have a 7. Lovely. All right. So you now have 7, which gives you a total of
28.
Okay, let me address
But
that.
I never took my Constitution bonus at the other level ups.
Oh, so then we should add that in then. So 28.
That would be there should be 4 more then.
No, because you're level 4 now, so you would have gotten it twice, and your con bonus is 3. Yes.
Yes, but it is only 3 now. It was 2 before.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I would have 4
in
more.
total.
So
not
4
4.
in total.
Okay.
Yes.
4 total. So your total is what? Your overall total hit points is
32.
32. Okay. All right. Now, Urash, I need to know what your maximum is, but you are not at your maximum yet because of all the fighting that just happened. But I do want to know what your maximum is.
What my maximum is? It's what hit points?
Yes, hit points. Yeah.
28 at the moment, but I haven't rolled for my next level's hit points yet.
Okay. Well, we'll do that in just a second then, because I think I saw Celsig rolled first, and then we'll do yours.
Okay.
So Celsig, you rolled a 5.
Correct, and no con modifier.
So your total now is?
My maximum's 27. My current is 15.
Okay, 15 out of 27.
I don't think I did.
Gret, I don't think took any damage in that fight, so 32.
Oh.
Rush is
No,
5 out
this
of...
is correct. Everything's correct.
Rush, you're at the moment you're 28, right? Theoretically, I mean at the moment you're 5,
No.
but theoretically you're
I'm
28
5.
maximum.
Yeah.
Okay, at the moment before you roll. Okay. All right, let's do that. Okay, so I got Celsig 15 out of 27. Greta is 32 out of 32. Urash is 5 out of 28. Okay, Urash, let's see that big time roll. Let's see that roll for the hit points.
Let's see that barbarian dice. 1d12.
Chat, let's make it happen. Make sure, by the way, that you guys create your 3D dice that you enable 3D dice.
My con, so 10 hit points.
10. Okay, make sure you enable your 3D dice, by the way, Mike, in OBS so people can see you rolling that.
I thought I had.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's rolling
have.
for me, but I'm not seeing other people's rolls. I don't know. The options, like for me, are turned on, but I didn't see Mike's roll, but I did see my own.
That's interesting because I have enable 3D dice on mine, and I don't.
I have a mine as well.
Huh.
I see all the rolls.
I saw that one.
Oh. Okay.
I saw that one.
And that's mine.
Wait, was that?
So you guys saw that.
Okay,
What?
yeah, I saw yours.
Huh.
Do you guys see? Do you see this one?
Yeah, I saw
Yes.
that. Yep.
Okay.
No. Yeah, no.
Weird.
Now I see it.
Weird, must be a glitch.
I can see it on like the right side of the screen. That's all that is required, right?
Yes, but it's also supposed to. It's just because you're supposed to see the little die rolling on the board as well. But
How do I do that?
there's in the settings. If you go to the little gear thing on the right, top right, and you go down, there's a thing that says enable. Yep. Okay,
Yep,
so nonetheless, you got an 8, which is a pretty good roll. So that means your total now is 36 potentially. Yes. Mike,
No, 38 because it was 8 plus my con modifier of 2.
oh, so you got 10. Oh, nice.
I didn't. Yeah, I forgot to add my con modifier.
5 out of 38. Lovely.
Also, for those of you keeping score at home, having just leveled up to level 4, I've increased my strength and my dexterity by 1 point each.
Very, very nice.
I increased my wisdom and my constitution.
Okay, cool. I love the notes that are at the bottom that I have on the bottom for myself. Like, goblins want 2 chefs for assistance. Hostage goblin's name is Gleek, now ambassador. Like, if someone ever came on this, they'd be like, "What the hell is this? Like, what kind of an adventure are you running here?" Anyway, okay. So Celsig's 15 out of 27, Greta 32 out of 32, Urash 5 out of 38. Lovely. All right, you guys are good to go with that. So, with that said, the question is, what do you guys want to do with these set of cloud stairs that are sitting in front of you?
I would just stare at them and say, I did not sleep in like 2 days.
You don't see that every day.
Indeed.
I'm gonna stand at the bottom of the stairs. Me and my 5 hit points are going up.
Okay.
Oh dear.
So they are firm. You'll be happy to know. They feel like stepping on kind of like a firm bed mattress. And they spiral upwards. And the other thing I want to note is that these are sized for humanoid, like medium-sized human. So they're, Greta has no problem with it. Celsig, it's maybe a touch high for you, but only in the whole, all your life, everyone has not understood the life of a halfling and like live in that halfling life type of way. Not as in, they're not giant-sized stairs. They seem designed to accommodate human size or lower. And so you're able to make your way up, and the stairs climb up and up and up and up for hundreds of feet, probably maybe 700 or 800 feet before reaching the castle.
Seriously? Oh.
He's like always the barbarian.
Adventure awaits. Let's go, comrades.
I follow.
Okay. Greta, what are you doing?
I'm following very slowly, dragging my shield behind me.
Rax is right. This is why barbarians get D12 hit points.
That's exactly right. Okay. I'm going to bring you guys over then to what it is that you see here. And let's see. Well, technically I shouldn't be giving you... Okay, hold on a second. I don't want to show you all of this quite yet. Let me
talk us through it then. Just talk us through it.
No, I'm going to do that as well. Believe me, there'll be plenty I won't be able to show you regardless. Okay.
That's a good point, actually. Do we have a story reason why 8-Bit's character's not around? Is he unconscious?
I assume it is partly because he was in the process of trying to figure out why it is that he was trying to get more information basically about the Zentarim. So I assume he's back there sort of talking with Morak, who is this, who is the dwarf guy, the sort of de facto leader of the town, about some of that stuff. So I'm assuming that's why he's not there at the moment, because he's talking with them. At least that's my in-game theory as to why that's happening. Okay, hold on a second. That is enabled. Things like that. There we go. Reveal this. All right. And
C.
I literally just revealed the area that I don't want you to see. I'm like, right, everything but that. Everything but that, please.
The place where the dragon is.
Yeah, lovely. Okay.
Dragons.
Dragons? All right, and let us hide this, because you don't even know about what this is yet.
So, chat, how are you doing?
All right, there we go. That's all good. Fine. So, you guys head up this way, and I'm going to bring you guys over to what it is that you see. So, I will reactivate my center area for you guys, and I will bring the players over so you can see what I see. This is literally what it looks like. And you guys are sitting at the entrance to this thing, which is right about here. And you are, and as I said, this cloud that you've been climbing feels firm, and when you get up to the top, you are standing in front of the tower's entrance on a cloud that feels as firm and safe as solid ground. There is silence, except, of course, you feel the wind blowing around you a little bit. You guys are awfully high. But this seems to be very stable, this area. And what you see there is actually what it looks like. It literally looks like there's a big wizard hat on the top of this tower.
Okay, out of interest, does this look like it was made for... I know the stairs were kind of designed for medium-sized humanoids. Does this look like it was made for medium-sized humanoids, or is this grossly oversized?
It's a big, big tower. It looks to you like it's designed for something else from the outside. Now, you haven't entered it yet. The gates, there are these two sort of doors that swing inwards, and the gates are slightly ajar, so that you could enter if you wish.
Okay. I'm going to turn to my comrades for this one, because I don't have a lot of intelligence, so I don't know if this is the best idea.
Am I already up there?
Yes, I assumed you're right behind him, and so you've
Depend on how quickly he's moving.
That's true. Well, if he was bolting up the stairs, singing like from a musical, up there, like if that's what he's doing, then
5 hit points, people. 5 hit points. I twist my ankle, I'm dead. Okay.
Right.
If you fall off, you're so dead. Because I will never be able to get down in time.
All of my hit points. If I fell off of this, I'm doomed.
Chad is actually wondering if the tower itself is a wizard. I don't actually think that's the case, but it would be an interesting thought.
Rincewind, speak to me.
Yes. So yes, so so the doors, which are larger than normal, are ajar. So you could, get through them if you needed to.
When you say larger, are we talking giant-sized?
Well, I mean, I think that's a pretty good guess.
Uh-oh.
No.
So much bigger than us.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
I'll turn to Celsius. Well, you're the quiet one.
yeah, I was afraid you was going to say that.
Go do your thing.
I'll make my way over to the door and try and, see how easy it might be to open it.
It's already open enough that you could slip through, actually. All three of you could, one at a time, slip through if you wanted. It's open enough that you could manage that.
I will try to stealthily slip my way through the door and investigate.
Make a stealth check for me, please.
Okay. Ooh. Stealth. There we go. 23.
Okay, so you very quiet, silently, slip into the first floor. And and you're feeling actually very proud of yourself. This is, you as opposed to some of these amateurs who make huge noises, you sound like you're still standing on clouds as you walk in there. And I should say that the first floor of this place does, in fact, have what looks like a stone floor to it. And I will show you guys that now. Let's see if I can do that without revealing everything. Well, close. Sort of. Yeah, actually, I did fairly well. All right.
You did good.
Here we go. So yes, this is what you guys can see. There is, you can see, never mind about that part. You guys can see, like that. Okay, you guys can see this. So we have here the first floor, and as you sort of walk through, I shouldn't say you, I should say just Celsig. Celsig, as you walk through, you find yourself just inside the door looking at this sort of, there's a large table, and then there are these floating lamps that are sort of positioned, you can see, at each of the points of this hexagon. And they're just sort of floating there. And then two large stone statues that stand here. There is also a large, giant-sized, frankly, table. And there is a chair right here. And then as you, and right in this spot over here, as you're sort of looking up, you hear someone say, "At last! I'd always hoped for adventurers to come to me. Welcome, my friend." And as you look above you, you see floating down, literally floating from above you, this massive, giant figure with dark blue, I should say medium blue skin, and a wispy white beard. Yes. Oh, okay. Thanks. And a wispy white beard, who descends below, and he literally just positions himself. And let me just get that up there for you guys. Here we go. And he descends like that. Okay.
Wow, he looks mean.
Yeah, he looks very
he's
mean.
perfectly fine.
Peaceful people don't carry around maces that size.
In a minute, I will show you I'll show you the more, you'll be more pleased with it
During the combat phase.
exactly. When we roll initiative. Okay, I should get rid of the town music because you're actually way over.
Yeah,
the
because
town
if
now.
I was gonna say if we can still hear that, those animals are bloody.
Yeah. They're really, really, really super loud. Okay, I'll deal with the audio stuff later. So he so you see him sort of descend in front of you, Celsig, and he's looking right at you, even though you thought you were very, as I said, stealthy, and you felt very good about yourself. But he's looking right at you, and he looks at you and says, "Welcome, member of the youngest race."
And
he
hello.
smiles at you beatifically.
Can we hear that voice booming
Oh,
outside?
yeah, absolutely. You hear this booming from the outside. Welcome. Yeah, absolutely you can.
Okay, so in that case, we just walk in. I just
Yeah,
walk
I'll
in.
just walk in and go, hello, I'm an adventurer.
More of you. How wonderful. We have here at sea. You must be of the orcish persuasion. And
Close
you,
enough.
a dwarf from the mountains. How wonderful to see all of you. I am delighted. Now, the thing I want to note about this guy is, I'm going to sort of pull up a picture for you guys to see him. He has this huge smile on his face, okay, as he's looking at you. Like, just this really,
Crazy old giant. Crazy old giant. Crazy old
as he's
giant.
looking at you. And
He's a-
big smile. He
Saying
doesn't
it
seem-
now. Saying it now.
He-
Crazy old giant.
He's a guy who puts a head on top of a tower and then has an opening in the bottom for people to get in. I'm just putting that out there.
the fact that this is the guy that can make towers float.
So let me show you a.
Just do what he wants.
Let me show you a picture of this, and for this, you guys will have
He
to look
also
at the
saw me
stream.
and I'd lost my shadow.
That's right. So for this one, if you guys could look at the stream, and I'm going to show you
hello.
because you're going to see it on the stream there.
Yeah.
In
Well, there'll be a bit of a delay.
Just a minute. Yeah, I know. There we go. That is what he looks like, and I'm putting him to the side here so the chat can see him too. All right, there it is now.
He looks nice.
I like his earrings.
Oh, I
like his
see.
And
No, the beard is too wispy.
I like his lack of scars.
I like the fact he doesn't appear to be carrying a weapon in that picture.
and he looks at all of you and he says, "Welcome, my dear, small but still dear friends. What are your names? First, you, O littlest one." And he looks at you, Selsig.
I glance over at Greta just to compare heights quickly.
You like stand on your tippy toes. Yeah.
All right. Selsig Mauer, brave adventurer at your service.
Oh,
And I bow.
my goodness, brave adventurers! I am honored to have you in my tower, and thee not as little, but still littler than the other one. Yes, dwarf, you seem to have a certain radiance about you, my dear. It reminds me of the sun as it shines through the windows of my home. What is your name?
My name is Greta Goldenfire, and may I ask yours?
My name is Zephyros. And as he says Zephyros, you feel like little wisps of wind blow around all of you individually. Like Zephyros, like that. And he says, "And you are most welcome, Greta Goldenfire. It is a pleasure to make the acquaintance of one of the races who work the bowels of the earth. I spend so little time on the earth these days. And what of you, my dear orcish, not quite as small as the other two, friend?"
I will kneel, place my arm on my chest, and I will say, I'm Ura Ash, acolyte of Tempest from the Northern Mountains. It is an honor to meet you.
And he says, and he says, "Oh, you are from the north. Then indeed we have a powerful warrior here. Ah, my goodness, if only those of my people could see such as you, there would be so much better understanding between my people and yours." And he turns around, he kind of shakes his head sadly, and he walks over. He's still kind of half levitating, half walking. And he walks over to the throne, or the chair, really. And he walks over and turns and sits down, and he says, "You must excuse the sudden arrival here of my tower, but you see, I saw in the distance some signs of conflict. I do what I can to stop conflict when possible, and so I came this way, to see if I could provide any assistance. I note that there are a few bits of debris littering the town below. I I think you might tell your small friends down there they should be careful. I don't think those walls will hold out many invaders. It is a odd design choice, I think.
Yes.
Well, it's funny. Well, it's funny you should mention that because we've
Giants did it.
actually been looking for a floating tower, which was responsible for that debris.
No, it was a floating castle, wasn't it?
Yeah, a castle. He was a castle. And he says, oh, my tower, but no, no, no. I would certainly not throw garbage down upon the lands below. I might hurt the little people, and we cannot have that. Do you mean to say that some of my compatriots have been throwing boulders and rocks at your people on the ground? This is scandalous. It's horrifying. And as he starts talking, you see suddenly, as he pulls from behind him, lying on the ground behind him in the chair, this massive staff, which is glowing with mystical energy, both up, down, left, right, and center, right? And it's glowing with this energy. And as he lifts it, a small little tempest begins to form around the tip of this staff. And he says, I am so angered by my people. And he raises his staff high, and you hear this whirling sound, and then he's like, but of course my anger is not for you, my friends. You must apologize, a foolish old giant. I simply wish to tell my people that the little people deserve respect as much as anyone else does. Yeah,
We
this
meant no
staff,
offense.
Azia, is twice the size of Urash, so I don't think that Celsic is going to be able to steal this one very easily.
It's my new great club.
Well, so Severus, it's good to hear that you wanted to see us little people being treated with respect.
Indeed.
But as you can see, something has happened. Somebody has thrown this debris, either voluntary or just on accident, on this town down there. Do you know about any other flowing castles in the area?
And he says, no, but I am aware that it is possible for my people to construct such structures. I am sorry to say that not all of them share my views of other races besides theirs. In the days before the breaking of the ordning, this never would have been allowed. The giants would have ensured that they would have lived in harmony with others. This is a sad, unfortunate moment. He kind of lowers his head a little bit.
I also lower my head just to show my sympathy.
Okay.
I lean over to Greta and go, breaking of the what?
Sorry, what?
He says, the
don't know what
ordning,
he's
my
talking-
little friend. Apparently he has very powerful ears. He says, the ordning, the breaking of the giant's order. Certainly you've heard of it, haven't you?
I'll raise my hand. I have not, no.
Oh, well, my friends, this is a difficult matter indeed. I don't know that I can give you all of the information. I only know some of it myself, but... And he sort of thinks about it, and he thinks about it and looks around. And he says, I would suggest you climb with me. Perhaps we can see this in a higher perspective. And he smiles at you.
Okie dokie.
And then he
You
stands.
first.
I'll go first.
And then he stands. Oh, go ahead.
I think
Greta.
this is a very good moment that I, as a dwarf, maybe feel not so comfortable up here.
Yes, well, this has not been a very... I mean,
Just like,
I will say, though, that...
I'm
the-
uncomfortable about this.
I will say that the tower, though, is remarkably stable. If you didn't know that you were actually floating 1,000 feet in the air, you would assume you were on the ground. It feels rock steady inside. And you know that any of you, even without magic, know that this would not be possible without magical influence. So they're, fairly impressed with this. So
However, Greta, the last time you were that colour, Celsic was covered in ogre poop. So, you're not looking well.
So he places... go ahead. Sorry.
I put a hand on my holy symbol and mutter a little prayer of Photos, please protecting me.
And he says, I have no doubt that your God, whoever it may be, will protect you, my dear Greta Goldenfire. I believe in the power of the sun and light myself. Now, if you will come with me, and he lowers one hand to the ground and leaves it like palm open.
Okay,
hop on.
I'll jump on.
Okay. So he grabs the two of you, and then he puts another hand down, because although he is a giant, he is not a titan. So he, holds his other hand down for you, Greta, if you want to jump on that.
Okay. Well, jump is maybe too much of a word, but I get on.
You get on, okay.
Quick question, sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, really quick question. So are we saying this guy is a standard giant? Like size and build and everything?
No, he's larger than a normal giant.
He's larger than normal giants.
In fact, make a, let's see. Make a nature check for me if you have that. Would also be wisdom if you don't have that.
I don't. Are you sure it's wisdom? I think it's nature on here is intelligence.
Oh, it's intelligence. I'm sorry. Yes, then intelligence. Yeah. I thought it was wisdom. My bad. Intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's true, I suppose.
Regreta Golden Fire.
You are pretty confident from having encountered, heard stories about this, Urash. This is almost certainly a cloud giant, one of the most massive of giants. Not the most massive, but definitely up there. Okay.
I love that the barbarian passed an intelligence roll.
With a penalty as well.
This is going to be one of those sessions, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Where I get everything non-strength based perfect and then just fluff up every attack roll.
Whiff, 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 whiff. Is the breeze getting annoying yet?
Yep, exactly.
However, I have perceived this ground to the point where I know exactly what minerals are inside it. Now try and hit the broadside of that barn. Nope.
Oh, look, unless a spotted grebe.
Let's see. So I'm trying to find you guys because I want to give you a little bit of air. This might do it actually. We got sound.
Cloudy with a chance of giants.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Nice.
That's what I'm looking for.
I will sooner or later ask about that wizard's head at the top of the tower.
Okay.
Yeah, I had some questions as well.
All
That's
right.
how we know it's magical.
Now you should have. Let me know if you guys have sound. You should hear something. Is the hat? Is how you know that he's magical?
Yeah, because otherwise it'd just be a giant floating tower, and that's ridiculous. But the wizard's hat is how you know it's made of magic.
Oh my god, it's pretty funny. That hat is pretty silly. I should have said. I don't think I mentioned, by the way, that his full robe. He's wearing a billowy purple robe that's adorned with gold stars. So I should have mentioned that
he's wearing a robe while floating.
Yep.
This is
Sorry, where are
everything's
his
not
hands?
getting better. Nothing is getting better.
Nothing is getting better.
Hey, listen, man. We've seen enough giant balls around this adventure so far. 2 more aren't going to make any difference.
So he lifts up, levitates, like holds you up, and goes through this hole, which is in the 2nd floor, and you see this massive bed there, and then there's some strange blue glowing orb of some kind that you can see over here. You don't entirely know what this is. And he says, "No time to stop here. Perhaps we can return at a later time." And then he continues to climb into the 3rd floor, presumably right before the level of the hat. And you guys see this on the 3rd floor. And now I can show you everything. I can show you all of it. Okay. And you are now on the top right underneath the hat. And you can see, if you guys look at the side view here, you can see that there's actually a little gap out of which you can see, like, in the hat, like where the hat is lifted up, from the rest of the tower. And that is the area out which there's actually what looks like clear, either like glass or some kind of glass material, although it probably is considerably stronger, that's in the front of this, basically from the hat, like the tip of the hat, down to the top of the wall of the top floor that you guys are sitting on. And as you get up there, you notice 2 things. First of all, you notice that there are these little piles of straw, and on one of them, you see a very large, rough-looking creature with a huge beak. and it's massive. It's like the size of kind of a large lion, maybe even larger than that. But it has a beak, and as he flies up to this, as you know, Zephyros carries you into this area, the creature sort of stirs and like this as it sees you, and Zephyros says, "Oh, be silent, Beaky. It's fine."
Beaky.
And he says, "You'll have to excuse Beaky. He is my pet griffin, and a wonderful, wonderful creature he is. But he's a little unfriendly around strangers." And you can see that the actual like shape of his beak is such that, oh, let me take off the echo. I was like, why am I echoing? But his beak looks big enough that he could chop Greta in two, like with ease, without a problem at all. And so the creature's just like, like tilting its head a little bit at you. And I want to be able to place one of these things. And because it's really, really good at doing this, and I don't understand why, every time I try to pull up some new item that I can show, I end up doing that, and then it's like, oh, we've got the perfect thing you need as a premium asset. Would you like to spend $4.99? Fine, roll 20, okay? Fine. I'm going to buy your bloody griffin. I'm going to get this thing because that's what I do for my peeps. That's what I'm doing here. So fine, okay? I just bought your
and we love you, and we love you for it.
Yeah. Griffin.
Yes, we do.
There we go. So I will adjust that now, and it's not that big. And it is lying on one of these piles of straw. And so he turns around, and he looks out the front of this tower, and he says, "Now, my friends, look out there and tell me what it is that you see."
Sky.
So first you're gonna have to walk over to
Yeah.
First you're gonna have to walk over to it. So I mean, he puts your hands down so you could get off if you wish.
Okay, so I go over, and what I don't really know what I'm looking at. Are we above clouds? Are we below clouds?
You are above the clouds, yes. And there's not a lot of clouds today anyway. It's a fairly clear sky. So you're just, you're standing like on this floor, looking out the front glass, basically. And our
I'll just sort of motion out, and I'll sort of like, that's our world.
And
that's what I see. I see our world.
And he says, "Yes, many of the younger races see their world, but there is more to that world than you see." And he waves his hand, and suddenly the glass turns, initially, obviously, it's transparent. Then it becomes opaque. And then it clears again. But the next time that it clears, it feels as if all of the features of what you see in front of you, the mountains, the forests, the rivers, all of that has been somehow subtly dimmed. And what you see instead are bright, in bright colors, these what look like flashing places of movement and motion. And as you look closer, you can see that the movement and the motion is actually figures. Some of them are on top of mountains. Some of them are stomping through the hills. Some of them seem to be riding a ship upon the sea. And what's odd to you, of course, is that you can, as you look at them, it almost is like you're zooming in, like you were looking through a telescope, but you're just looking through a pane of glass, apparently, so you don't know how this is happening. And yet each of you, wherever you look, you're able to zoom in with your vision to look at whatever, it is that you're seeing, but always at these spots of motion. And as you zoom in close, you can see that these are all giants. Some of them are giants that are inside of volcanoes. Some of them are giants that are floating on ships on the sea. Some of them are giants that are standing on top of the mountains, maybe throwing a thunderbolt or something. They seem to be throwing something at each other. And wherever you look, you see these giants. A couple of them are what look like hill giants with clubs stomping through the hillside. But wherever you see these creatures, they are all involved in some kind of conflict. They're all attacking each other, or they're attacking people on the ground, or they're attacking what looks like maybe dragons, but they seem to be fighting in every one of these little hot spots that you guys are looking at. And as you guys are looking at it, you hear Zephyros behind you, because you're all staring at the glass. Zephyros says, "You see what I mean. Everywhere, someone is fighting someone else.
A tragic state of affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Surely that's true for any race.
And he says, sadly, yes, but not every race has the potential to destroy our world as my race does. There are the dragons, and perhaps they could create this chaos. But other than them, who but the giants could do this much damage and destruction? And in the back you hear Beaky going,
Feel sorry for Beaky.
I try to stay away from Beaky in case he's hungry.
it's conceivable. He's still, it's conceivable. He doesn't have a very scrutable face. You know what I mean? Like, he's very, like, you don't know what you're getting with him. So, yeah, so he...
Why?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Greta.
Why are giants fighting so much with each other? And if they are especially fighting each other, why could they have attacked this little village here?
And he sort of says, for that, you must come with me back to a different time. And he waves his hand, and this time the glass turns, again, opaque. And then, but this time, when it clears, you're no longer looking outside the tower. You are looking at what looks almost like a, this is anachronistic, but it just works, a movie, okay? But it looks like, essentially, you're watching moving figures on the surface of the glass. This curved glass in front of you. And you can see it seems to be a scene of a courtroom of some kind, a throne room, excuse me, like a court in a castle. And you can see a bunch of giants, fire giants, hill giants, like a bunch of these giants, all clustered around a couple of large, very, very, like, huge giant creatures that are bigger than anything else. And one of them holds this mace, which is glowing with this immense power. It looks to have, like, sparks that are flashing off of it. And the throne that he sits in seems to be covered in this perpetual fog. And next to the throne, there are three clearly giantesses, female giantesses, who are standing by his side on the steps leading up to the throne. And he is holding his mace down at someone. And Zephyros says, do you know, my friends, who this is?
Do we?
Yeah.
Go ahead
History?
and make a history check for me. Sure.
There's a lot of stories where I'm from, so you never know.
Also, if
History
any of
check.
you happen to have any ability or skill in giant lore or anything like that, that would be helpful if you have that.
Nope.
Ooh.
Wow.
Crit.
Greta's like, yep, I know everyone in this picture.
Wow, you rolled a... I just saw... So, Mike, you rolled a 0 because you had a negative 1 on your history. So, basically, you've forgotten who you are. You're like, where did I come from? Like,
I was just like, oh my god, a giant! Ah,
it's
What were
so
my parents
big!
called?
yeah.
Celsig, you also are you're more worried about Beaky, honestly. You just can't really focus. But Greta, you do know a little bit about this. You remember having heard about a great king or lord of the giants, that the giants basically are held together through ritual, through tradition, and through adherence and loyalty to some of the greatest of the giants. And by that, we're talking about storm giants who stand above basically all. You've got cloud giants, you've got storm giants, but storm giants are essentially the top of this heap. There have been different groups that have sort of been raised to the level of the highest over the years, over the centuries, but the storm giants have been some of the greatest of them. And you remember that there was one particularly notable king, although you cannot bring his name to mind, that sort of unified all the giants underneath him. But your memory of this, like your knowledge of this, is from centuries ago. Like this happened. I mean, not you didn't learn it centuries ago, but I mean, like, this happened centuries ago. So if this is the same guy, yeah, that's true. You could, but no, I mean longer than that. Like, longer even than you would have been alive. So centuries ago is when is supposedly when this story comes from, and that's the last time you would have heard about this person. And so all of a sudden, you realize that may be the same person they're talking about. And so he sort of looks and he says, "Do any of you know who this is?"
I I have a suspicion, but if my suspicion is right, this person should not be alive today.
Ah,
And still I can see him.
indeed, he has not died, or at least we hope not. But there is something worse about him, you see, my friends. This is King Hecaton. And as he says this, King Hecaton, like the camera, if you will, zooms in on him. So you're like, oh, like as it like zooms up to like his mace, basically, right? And you're looking up at him. He's just absolutely enormous. He has this long white beard. His eyes glitter with both coldness, not in a negative way, but just and wisdom. And you can see just the muscles rippling up and down the arm that holds the mace. And he says, King Hecaton, for many centuries, has kept the giants in line. The ordning is the order within which the giants must exist. If we have this, we can be, well behaved to the rest of the small races. Of course, even under the ordning, some giants occasionally get out of line. One here, one there. But they do not, as a group, decide to attack the smaller races. At this time, Hecaton had brought peace and stability to all of us. And then, as you're watching, you see suddenly he winks out, and suddenly his throne is empty. And you just see the court looking at an empty throne. And he says, But Hecaton has been missing now for some time, and the ordning without his presence has shattered. Giants no longer listen to other giants. Each has descended into their own petty squabbles, their own small, unimportant conflicts. And you're thinking to yourselves, of course, the giant, small, unimportant conflicts lead to, like, Nightstone being blown up. You know, like that's what a giant, small conflict ends up doing. And he says, and these conflicts, the larger they get, the more dangerous they become. They threaten to tear all of our world apart. Ever since the shattering of the ordning, I have been trying to find a way to set things right. And, things didn't go quite as I intended. And you all are still looking at the glass, unless you want to turn around at him. But do any of you want to look back at him?
I'll have a look at him.
All right, so if you look back at him, he says, like, you see he's kind of got this funny little grin, like almost like, welp, you know, like, I mean, it didn't work as I had intended it to, and for a time I wandered through the paths of not quite sanity, but finally I made my way back here, my friends, and discovered this world that you see. I know only that King Hecaton began the shattering of the ordning, and then I lost, several decades, and now I'm back, and I don't know what's happened since then, but if this conflict has continued, then King Hecaton surely must still be gone, and no one has restored order to the giant's kingdom.
You are trying to become the king of giants?
What? No.
So, I'm trying to find...
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Ha 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 ha.
He says, look at this laugh, sort of like the walls rumble a little bit. Beaky, you see Beaky kind of look up like as he's laughing.
Yeah.
He says,
I'm going to back away a little bit.
Yeah, he
So
says,
funny.
No, I have no desire to be the king of the storm giants. I would prefer to wander the cosmos and collect information about the world around us. I would prefer to visit the races of the small people, those little buildings you call, what are they, towers? And those small little places you call fortresses. I am so anxious to visit all that your small lands have to offer. But I can do none of that while all of us are at each other's throats.
So, basically, we help you find King Hecaton, we restore the ordering, and the giants stop destroying places in our world through civil war. That about sums it up?
And then you can go sightseeing.
Right. That sounds about right. And then I can go on, What was it? I heard someone say this once. It was right before he ran away screaming. He was singing something about a road trip. Yes, he said he was on a road trip. And then he saw me and his horse bolted and he ran off screaming. But before that, he said road trip. And I have always wished to go on this quest known as a road trip. That would be lovely. Yes. And all you need to do is to restore a massive king, the greatest king that the storm giants have ever known, to his throne and find him. I'm sure it will be easy. And he smiled. Like his smile is fixed as he looks at you like, this is all set.
Why is there a wizard's head on top of your tower?
And he looks up, he says, ah, yes, you mean, of course, not a wizard hat, my dear. That is the focusing spire. And he sees his eyes he gets this little secret grin, and he says, this is what allows me to channel mystic energies from the universe through my focusing spire. And you get the impression every time he says focusing spire that he has it very well rehearsed, that this is what he says. Like whenever anybody like you feel like he's been asked this question before, and he's like, focusing spire, is the impression.
Of course, it's a focusing spire.
Indeed. So clever. The small people are always so clever.
If I may, could we have a moment of privacy to discuss this amongst ourselves?
Certainly. I will just go over here and pet my griffin. And he walks over to Beaky, who leans up and he begins to, pet him, and he starts, whistling to him. And it sounds like he's whistling something like, if I want to ride in my beautiful balloon, do you want to ride?
Okay, so quick party huddle here. So obviously crazy old storm giant, right? We're okay with this. I'm okay with this. I've met plenty of crazy people on my adventures, including you lot and that crazy tin man with the sword called Dan, who I had an arm wrestling contest with a while ago. But
he's gone.
This doesn't sound like too much of an insurmountable task if we can get him to help us.
You mean finding the king of giants who has been lost for a few centuries is just something we should now do?
I don't think anyone's been looking for him. Apart from this guy who admitted he lost several centuries, and something clearly happened to him.
I don't have several centuries to lose.
How ain't gonna take that long?
He apparently had this magic mace thing, so even if nobody had been looking for Hecaton, they might have wanted that. So I'm sure people or giants would have looked for him.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like this might be one of the only people. This Sephiroth guy might be one of the only people who are actually looking for him.
How do you lose a giant anyway? I need sleep.
You saw her out of the window. There's tons of them. How do we not see them falling over mountains all the time? They either keep themselves to themselves, or we just don't see them.
Yeah, apparently
or they start dropping rocks on your head.
Well, yeah, in extreme circumstances.
Apparently we've not been able to see a few thousand giants roaming our world. What makes you think we can find one that nobody else has found?
What do we do? Knock on the biggest mountain?
I'll thumb over to the crazy storm giant behind us, because this guy has already done most of the hard work for us. He's been on this guy's trail for centuries. All we need to do now is team up with him and finish the job.
But he got crazy over it. I don't want to be crazy.
And I don't want to end up as a griffin snack.
I'll just sort of sidelong glance at Greta there.
Just one.
Yeah,
so
okay.
as you say that thing about I don't want to be a griffin snack, you hear this, and suddenly you see opening up in the side of the tower. Basically, so as I mentioned, there's like this glass right around it, which, as you've been talking, by the way, has gone back to being clear. And the glass basically extends along the front. I'll draw it for you quickly. It extends along the front. There we go. Front three sides like this. So like this, right? Never mind that horrific line there. Not a drawing guy. So it extends there. So you see this one over here retract, like almost as if it's sliding up into the wall. And what it ends up doing is, as I clear drawings, yes, clear them. Okay, 2 more of these griffins fly in through the vacated spot, and they light. First of all, they light here and here. And as he gets there, as they arrive, Zephyros sort of turns around to see them, and with this look of delight says, "Ah, yes." Sorry, echo. "Ah, yes, how wonderful. It is a pleasure to see them back again. My friends, may I introduce to you," and he looks at the other one, "Wingding," and the so-called Wingding kind of looks, "and Claws." And Claws and Wingding look sort of similar to Beaky, and they all kind of sort of stare at you, and then they go and they nuzzle over with Zephyros, and Zephyros is petting them and chatting with them. You kind of feel like these sort of are like his cats, you know, except that they're griffins, but otherwise. So he has Beaky, Wingding, and Claws. And they're all sort of looking. Of
course he does.
And Beaky continues to stare at you, Celsic.
Can we just get this over with? My chances of getting eaten just tripled.
Okay, look. If we don't look, we're heroes. This is what we do.
Adventurers.
Come on,
I'm
people in that city, whose name I can't remember, called us heroes. We're heroes.
I'm all for helping the common people, but helping a crazy giant?
Okay, so helping the common people, yeah, fair enough. So we help the common people from the storm giant attacks, which aren't really going to stop if this old king Hecton, or whatever his name was, doesn't come back or isn't found or something doesn't happen. So what? We're just going to, go to Baldur's Gate and pick up the pieces there. We're going to go Waterdeep. We're going to watch the Great Glacier just fall apart because giants just decided to drop buildings on it.
Why should it happen now if it hasn't happened in the last centuries?
Because it is.
It has happened.
This is just the time. This is just the one we're involved in. Who knows? I've heard lots of tales about this sort of thing happening. There've been unexplained rock slides, unexplained mountain movements. God knows what. Sorry,
Okay.
Tempest knows what.
Sephiroth. I turn to the cloud giant, or the giant. If we consider helping you, what exactly do you want us to do? Because flying around the world and having a look around seems to be something that you're better at than we are.
But you see, my dear, the problem with flying above the clouds is you don't see what happens below them. The small races, you can go places that I cannot. Perhaps the king is kept in a deep underground dungeon. Or perhaps he can be found underneath a mountain with those of your people. Or maybe he is found deep below the bowels of the earth, or somewhere buried at sea. I cannot see where he stands, though I have tried to magically find him. He is hidden by not only physical protections, but magical wards, and I have not been able to pierce them. I cannot find ways to sneak through them, and when I have spoken to other small people for help, well, I don't really speak to them because they simply run away from me screaming. I have had a really difficult time finding anyone to listen to me long enough to explain the problem. And truthfully, I didn't know if you would have any interest in this either. I simply wanted to speak to members of your kind, as I always do. But if it is true that you have interest in helping to find King Hecaton, you could do incomparable good for all of us. And Beaky and Wingding and Claws like.
But do you think somebody is keeping him captive?
I think that the king would not have left forever and abandoned us. And I knew Hecaton. Hecaton was strong. I do not believe any could have destroyed him or killed him. I think he must have somehow been bound against his will. If he had his freedom, he would have returned to restore order, and I cannot imagine that he would have been slain. But the truth is, until we have definitive proof, there is no one with clear claim to his throne. And so hill giant battles cloud, and cloud battles fire, and fire battles storm, and all the world is descended into this conflict. Right now, what you think is a volcano erupting is a battle between giants. What you have heard is an earthquake, is the rumble of attack between two hill giants. And what you have believed is a tsunami challenging your shores and cities. That is probably driven by a cloud or storm giant battling each other in the deeps and the billows of the great oceans of the world. These things that you believe are natural phenomena are the doings of my race, and it is those things that I would set right if I could. That is where you can help me.
Okay, but the world is a big place and we're just small people. Can you just, point us to a start or the end of a trail or something?
Well, I would be happy to take you to one of these places. I know that perhaps your destination would probably end. If I were to take you one place, for sure, it would be somewhere to the north. Up there in the sea of moving ice, to the north of the Sword Coast, where the dragons, it is said, once roamed, and the Drakhorn, it is said, was once sounded, that mystical artifact. If Hecaton was to find himself anywhere, if there was anywhere remote enough and difficult enough to get to preserve him from discovery, it might be in that place. I would be happy to take you there, somewhere, and afterwards, well, I would leave it up to all of you. You may succeed where I have failed, but you're all so clever, I have no doubt you would be able to find what I could not, and perhaps then you could, report what you've discovered back to me. I could send you down with one of your own griffins, perhaps. And Beaky says, "Raw!" like sort of, tilts his head. And at that moment,
I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that.
Okay.
I look at Urarash's face and just have this just droop because I know that we're not getting out of this.
and as he does this, like the glass recedes again, and just one this time ends up flying in and landing. And this one that lands is a little bigger than the others, just a touch. And as it lands, it looks over at you with surprising. I mean, they're all intelligent, but this one looks over at you with sort of surprising amounts of wisdom. And Zephyros says, "Ah, the oldest of all the griffins, and perhaps my favorite, though I love them all. He is the one who keeps the rest of these little mischief makers," and he kind of ruffles the feathers of each of them. Each, of course, the feathers, like each one of which is like as big as Urash's forearm, that kind of thing. And he says, "But he keeps them in line," or she keeps them in line. May I introduce to you Squawker? And Squawker looks, but instead of doing the raw, she just does this low raw. Like that. And as she does that, the others sort of nestle up to her and kind of nuzzle their beaks under her wing.
I'll look to the group. Are we doing this? Are we doing this? Yes.
He's going to send us to some kind of frozen country, and we need also to send.
That's okay.
chefs.
That's where I'm from.
We need to send two chefs. We need to arrange 2 meals going to the goblins because we can't go back on our word there. We need to talk to the elf thing. To say where we are, we need to get like rations and proper clothing and
okay.
all kinds of stuff.
Let's put too fine a point of it. You are kind of dripping blood everywhere, Urash.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yes, and also we need to find out whether there's a risk of the flying castle coming back and whether Sephiroth will take care of the village while we're gone.
And as he looks and he says, "I should say, my friends, that if you wish to make your goodbyes to the villagers down below, you may certainly do so. Perhaps you can ask them for some assistance, and they can give you a suggestion, and I will be happy to bear you there upon my tower. But I must also say that if you are injured, and I can see that some of you may be mildly hurt, and Urash is like, just blood everywhere, as you said, right? He's just like mildly hurt. He's like, some of you may have a few flesh wounds, that I offer you rest and sanctuary within my tower. It is fairly well protected, I think. Woo!
Okay, so we're doing this, right?
Ha ha ha.
And all the griffins are like,
We're in.
We should talk to the elf, and we should need to talk. Sephiroth, the village down below was attacked
it's
by
Sephiroth.
flying...
Please don't make him into Sephiroth. He is not the Final Fantasy VII villain. All of a sudden you just hear da 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 da. Yeah, no, he's not. I'm sorry.
We're going to my reunion.
All of a sudden, like, Cloud shows up. It is Cloud. Okay, I get it. I understand. There's a connection, but oh god. Zephyros is basically Santa Claus. Yes, he's a massive, massive Santa Claus. Go ahead, Greta. I'm sorry. It just struck me funny, Byron.
Okay, Sephiroth.
Zephyros.
No,
Zephyros.
Yes.
Does he have a nickname? Okay, Zephyros.
Zephy.
I put it in chat so you can see it. Zephyros. There it is.
It's written in giant letters next to the towers. I'm reading it. This is me trying my
Oh, that's
best.
true. I forgot it was there. Exactly, Jedi. Sephiroth.
Sephiroth, the village down below, was attacked by a flying castle while we're gone trying to find Hekaton.
Yes.
Can you protect the village from other giants? Because that would otherwise be our job, and if we're doing that, we can't look for Hekaton.
He says, "Oh, I am most sorry to hear of it. I must provide restitution. I believe I can be of some assistance, yes. Let me see. And he kind of, he thinks a little bit and he says, well, would you come with me, my friends? And he puts his, hands down to pick you guys up.
Okay, let's get on.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Hop,
he sort of sinks down after waving goodbye to the griffins. He sinks down to the second level, and where there's this massive bed, clearly meant to accommodate him. And he goes over to this orb. Now this orb is like a kind of a blue. There seems to be a little bit of, not sparks is not quite the right word, but almost like kind of a flowing energy around it, basically, almost as if it's riding on a curtain of water, except that it's not water, it's energy. And as he comes over to it and he puts his hands on it and he begins to rotate the orb. And as he rotates the orb around, you can see, like, you almost feel this kind of, like, in the actual castle itself. Or in the tower itself, excuse me, and you can feel it start to sink just a little bit, like drop down gradually, and then he stops the rotation of the orb and the tower stops, and he says, I think there is a way. I can provide a spell that will warn us if your village comes under attack. If it does, I will be able to send either myself or my dear friends, and he points up at, points up at the floor above him.
Griffins.
And he says, to go and help with your difficulty. I have a suspicion that if all of my dear little griffins, Beaky, Wingding, Claws, and Squawker, were to go at once, they could turn the tide of almost any battle I could imagine, or at least they could summon me. And I will make it very clear that if there were anyone to attempt to attack the little people that are under my protection, they will feel Zephyros's wrath uncloaked. And he says this, and as he says this, his staff, which he's carrying, which again, right, appears, which he had on his back, and then he takes out again, and there is a bolt of energy that, and the tower rumbles with the power of it, right? And then he stops and he holds that pose for a minute. You guys are like, and then he's like, but hopefully that won't be necessary.
He's like, yeah, that would probably do it.
Good.
Yeah. And then he
Oh,
sort of
I
smiles.
like this guy.
good. Great.
Can I stop
Good.
smiling yet? Is it safe?
Nope.
Okay, let's
is
get
smiling.
down. I would say we have to talk to the
We got stuff to do.
elves and have preparations and
Yep.
Wonderful.
everything, and maybe save the villagers from a heart attack because of a flying tower.
Oh, yes. Please explain to them that I am not a threat. And tell them if any wish to visit me, I would be pleased to receive them after we have completed our journey.
Okay.
We
Good.
will certainly pass that along.
Okay. And he smiles at you all and he says, excellent. Then perhaps you should descend as quickly as may be. I fear the wind may be changing, and we don't wish to be blown away in a storm that might harm the little people, do we? Woo!
I make some choking sounds and make my way down.
Okay.
Can we not borrow a griffin?
Say again. You wanted to borrow?
Can we not? Can we not borrow a griffin?
He says, "Oh, you wish to borrow one of my dear griffins? Well,
Well, we're coming back here, so I figured Beaky or Squawker or something like that, one of them could take us down. We could take care of our affairs, and then we could come back up.
oh well, that's fine with me, but I do wonder a bit if they would be troubled to see members of the smaller races riding a large griffin and descending upon them. Perhaps I'm wrong. I don't fully understand what makes little people afraid. They scream so often that it's difficult to understand the difference. But
I think enough has happened in that village that this may not seem that strange. There's a large cloud solid staircase in their town square, and their town square just got attacked by giants.
well,
Was it orcs?
in that case,
And
that's
orcs.
fine. Certainly. Which one would you like to ride? You can have any of them.
Your choice, sir. Your choice.
Well, it seems that the one who made the best friend with the littlest one of you is Beaky. And he sort of smiles at you, Selsig. And he's like, I'm sure you will get along with him famously.
Yes, Celtic, I'm sure you will.
You bastard.
Steal my kills, will you? You little bastard. Okay, so you go up. Thank you, by the way, Captain Morgan. I appreciate that. Well, let me get these guys off the tower, and then I'll catch everybody up. Okay, so you guys, he brings you back up to the third floor, puts you on the back of Beaky. Now, as you guys are sort of getting into this thing, you notice that now these griffins are very large, but technically fitting all three of you, especially with Urash as one of the three, it's a little cramped on the back of the griffin, but you guys are all able to fit on it, and he certainly doesn't seem to be bothered by the weight. That doesn't seem to be a big deal. And he kind of looks, and when Selsig, when you get on, Beaky kind of like keeps looking over, is like trying to get his head around, like like, you know, but you manage to kind of position yourself, and Sephiroth says, very well, my friends. Now I have told Beaky to bring you down to the town. Are you prepared?
I'm walking.
Are you really walking or no?
I'm prepared.
I'm so totally walking.
Okay. So you start walking down the stairs. So it's Urash and Selsig, and you guys are good to go. Selsig, are you in front?
No, I am definitely behind Urash, hanging on to him.
Okay. So you get on
You're
there.
digging your hands into the axe marks that are already there from the previous battle. These are like good handholds.
Oh my God, that's
there's,
so
there's a liver in here.
That's awful.
I was gonna put
Is this
that-
important?
He's like, I was going to put that back. Or I should really probably get some rest, man.
And
Also,
he
you
says,
sleight of hand on his spleen.
thank you also for the follow,
can find
Captain
it.
Morgan, on my channel. I appreciate it. And he says, right, are you ready then?
Yes.
1, 2, go! And he immediately, and like, so you're like, and like, it like launches forward as the glass recedes, almost at the same time. And then you guys are flying like, right? And so Celsig, you're like, oh, like he banks left and then he banks right. Urash, you're like, this is the baddest ass. This is the end of Doctor Strangelove riding the missile down. Yeah, oh yeah. This is like you're on back of Falcor, right? Like, yeah, and he's like circling around. And so he circles around, and Greta, as you're going down the stairs, you just see the two of them, like as the griffin, as Beaky circles you going down to the ground, and you can see Urash is like, woo, like still blood dripping from him, and Celsig is like eyes shut and like, ah, like, as he's like holding on as the thing is like tilting left and right. But that said, you all get all the way to, and then land your way back in Nightstone Village. Now, before we talk about your discussions with the villagers, I do want to welcome everybody who is just joining us here. Good to see everyone here. You are watching the GOG stream team playing Dungeons & Dragons with Storm King's Thunder. My name is Arvin Elleron. I am your host. I stream here every Tuesday on my Pen and Pixels show. And to my right is the incomparable Pyron Jade, the incredible Darksaber, and the astonishing Screaming Joypad, also known as Mike. All three of these wonderful people. Normally we have a fourth who is Memories in 8-bit, who plays the elf, but unfortunately his internet is not working today, so we cannot do that.
It's the elf from now on.
Yeah, just the elf. Just the elf.
The elf.
Siren,
He's
I
still
should
not
say.
introduced himself.
No, he's Siren. He's introduced himself.
Oh, did he? My bad.
He did, but yeah. So these guys are playing. If you guys like what you see in here in chat, please make sure to follow GOG. Please make sure also to check out all of these individual people's channels / YouTube channels and things like that. Yeah, more D&D like this also over on my channel. I have a big session coming up on Saturday with my other campaign that I do on my channel, which is going to have a lot of big changes. So, and I'm just going to say, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I just want to say that I really think it's important for GOG fans to tune into that session. I'm not going to say any more than that, but I think it's important for you guys to tune in. I'm just saying. Okay, with that said, so you guys are now back on. First of all, quick check. Are you guys good, or do you need a break? Or are you okay?
I'm good.
We're good.
No,
I think.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So you are back on the ground. The griffin is there, and of course the villagers have pretty much, are screaming like in the houses now. Like doors are shut to the extent there are doors, and the only ones still looking out of the door sort of fearfully are the Zentarims, one of whom is Kella Darkhope. You may remember Kella as the one that you first encountered.
Yeah.
She's kind of like staring out sort of wide-eyed. And right in the front of the door is Morak, who is, again, the leader of, sort of the de facto leader of this town, and he's, of course, the innkeeper. And he's kind of like, he's sort of staring at all of you as you all dismount, as the two of you dismount. And Greta, you reach the clouds a little bit after they do and step down from the cloud step. And he's just kind of not even saying anything. He's just staring at you from the door of the inn, like, hey, Takanji.
We're gonna go have a word with him.
I sort of just look at her. I just hold my finger up and just go.
Of course you do. Right. And
Great.
there's a convenient hole
now
right
there's
there for
sick.
you.
Yeah. Now there's sick in my wounds.
Oh God!
Brilliant.
He didn't throw up on you.
I wasn't aiming.
He
for
wasn't.
you.
He's in the hole to the ground. Good God.
He's just using the name that Gleek gave him.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Puke Master 5000. So he, so you, all right. So after you do that and kind of stumble off.
So what was the name of the Zentarim dude who I had an argument with?
Yeah. Let me check. Because
I'll openly admit, and the rest of the group can disagree with me on this, but I don't really care for either of these characters. The fact that we saved one of their lives is fine. That's cool, but I just want them out of the town as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because we haven't really
Zolkin.
guaranteed that they're not just going to roll in the second we leave.
What was his name, sorry?
Hopefully.
his name is Zolkin.
Zolkin. Could I walk up to Zolkin, please?
Well, Zolkin isn't. You don't see him. You see Kella Darkhope
I
in the
see.
door. You see Morak first of all, and then behind him you
Morak's
think you see
Morak's
Zolkin.
the,
You see
tavern owner, isn't he?
Kella like looking over the shoulder basically of Morak, but you don't see Zolkin.
Okay, I'll go over to Keller then.
Okay. You do that, and Morak is standing at the door, like in front of her. And so as you come up, Morak's like, "What are you doing, lad? That's a griffin you brought down upon us."
Don't worry, it's with us. You can tell your people that your town is now under the protection of a storm giant who is just above the city. If anything happens, we and him will come back to protect you. So, and I'll look over to Keller. You, your boss, and all your goons leave now.
And she's still a little bit woozy. You might remember that she was very, like pretty much injured until Greta had healed her. So she's sort of woozy on her feet.
Patch yourself up and then leave.
Yeah, so she says, she's like, she stares upwards and she says, oh, damn it. And she's like, this isn't good. And Zolkin, behind her, comes up and he says, Kella, my love. And Kella sort of gives him this look like, what? Like, and, like, this is not something that she's heard before. She just kind of is like, And he's like, they're right. A giant's kind of out of our payroll. And I'd rather that we do our base finding. We do our base finding somewhere else. Besides, they healed you. I think we probably owe them one. And she kind of looks back at him and looks back at you and then shrugs and is like, well, okay. And she sort of stumbles away, kind of limping, back from the door. And Morak says to you, he says, all right, I'm glad you got that settled, but first of all, you got to take this real slow. What exactly is that thing above us? And he's pointing at the castle, and he's like, there's a giant in it, and now it's going to protect us?
Okay, considering
You've gone stark mad.
I have less intelligence, wisdom, and charisma than the other two members of the party. Could they take this one?
Wouldn't bank on that with the charisma with me.
I don't know.
I sigh and I say, can we go inside and get a beer and a chair and then we talked it over?
That sounds like a brilliant idea. And I'll just pop my liver back into the gaping wound. It's like, yep, that's good for another few hours. Let's go get a pint.
And he says, all right, that sounds completely senseless with a tower riding over us, and that's why it makes sense to do it. Maybe we'll forget all this if we just drink it away. And he kind of walks away, and you hear him mumbling about last days, giant castles, goblins, center, and So you go inside, and you sort of sit down and explain to Morak the situation. And Morak, as he's sitting at the table, sort of with you, as he's listening, finally has calmed down a little bit, and he says, all right, you've done a whole lot for Nightstone already, so I'll believe you if you tell me that it's true that you can do something to save our town with a giant in a tower. But the problem I have is, well, there's some other issues that needed to be attended to in this village, and I can't attend to them all. I've got too much to do with overseeing the rebuilding. I was supposed to be an innkeeper, not a mayor. But I'll do what I can. But in the meantime, maybe there's a way that we can have our two issues work together, perhaps. Do you know anything about the land of Bryn Shander?
Do I?
Do we?
Yes, you do know about this place, yes.
Okay.
So Bryn Shander is it's a town, a fairly large fortified town, which is to the north of here, a good distance. It's probably actually farther to the north than Tribor was. So you may remember that you started in Tribor, you came from there here. So it's farther north, it's considerably larger than Tribor, and you definitely have heard of it before. And he says, this place, Bryn Shander, there's several of us here who started in that city and then ultimately moved out here to Nightstone, a place where we thought we'd have some peace and quiet. And then he looks ruefully at the broken-in roof and the boulder in the middle of his inn, and he's like, apparently we were wrong about that. And he says, but one of my friends and neighbors, the one who ran the farmhouse right next door, and that's the farmhouse where you were washing yourself before Celsig when you were really dirty, and that house now is half staved in, basically. Her name is Samil Southwell. Well, she didn't make it. She was killed in the first attack. She didn't have any family in Nightstone, but she used to speak all the time about her brother, Markham, and I know that Markham is the sheriff of Bryn Shander. Now, I don't know a whole lot about that area, but I know it's a large place, and it's in the north. Perhaps if you went and talked to one of the city officials, you could give him news of his sister's passing, and perhaps he could give you information about where to find this giant king of yours.
That sounds like a lead.
What was her name?
So her
Semile
name,
Southwell.
her name is right, exactly. Semile. It's Semile Southwell, and then her brother's name was Markham, Markham.
I had it as Malcolm.
Not Malcolm, no, Markham.
Malcolm. And so...
Mark Ham.
Yes, Markham.
And he's the sheriff of
Bryn Shander.
Bryn
Bryn Shander, by the way, is Bryn space Shander, Shander. 2 words.
Yeah, I did a cheeky Google while you were talking.
That's not a history check you can appropriately. Yeah.
No, I know.
And by the way, I should say
that's if I need to do a history check, I can just reel off. Oh yes, it was this trading.
the
post,
following
blah,
thing.
blah,
It was
blah.
founded in I should tell you guys the other thing you know about it too is that it is the largest of 10 settlements, which are known collectively as the 10 towns, and it is located right in the frigid heart of Icewind Dale. So if you're going up there and you know anything about Drist, if you know anything about Icewind Dale the game, if you know anything about that area, it is ice covered and it is unforgiving would be a good way to put it. So bundle up would be what I would say about that. I don't have a map here. I'll have to pop up the map of the Sword Coast for you guys at some point. But yeah, it's definitely far up there and is right in the middle. So some warm furs would not go amiss, and things like that.
Indeed.
Okay, but
Nice-
so
nice
where do we
points,
get
Stephen.
where do we get some winter gear from?
So Morak says, "Oh well, we don't really have a whole lot in the way of pelts. I could try to help you as much as I can. Of course, we're happy to give you some basic canvas cloaks and cloth, but it won't be that much, I'm afraid. But once you get up there, they deal in winter goods. You should be able to manage when you get to the town itself."
About the meals for the goblins, can you also handle that?
And then it occurs to you that you hadn't really talked to him yet about the meals for the goblins part, about giving him chefs. So he's like, the meals for the goblins.
Details!
What meals for goblins? What do you mean?
You know, you remember the goblin army helping the town while it was under attack?
Yes, I also remember the goblin army overrunning the town before it came under attack the second time.
Yeah. Anyway, we needed to offer something for their help, and they wanted food.
Food. All right, well, we'll give them some of our, we can probably get some of our goods together. I think we got some spare potatoes in the back, a few baskets, and that'll be good payment for them.
It's a constant thing. They'll protect the town if you feed them. I think it's a pretty good deal. It's a constant thing. I think it's a pretty good deal. You have bodyguards now that will come to your aid, and you don't actually necessarily need to pay them.
Wait,
is that actually that the deal?
Are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Do you mean to tell me that the town is going to be protected by a flying giant tower, a griffin, and a set of goblins?
No, the griffin's coming back with us. But the rest of it, you're right about.
He's like,
and also the
you'll
tower
be the most
will...
well-protected town in the entire coast.
He's
also
like,
the tower will not stay here. It will be like watching from afar, because having a tower flying over your town and maybe shadowing your crops and everything would be bad. So it's just.
You mean our only protection here is that can come at quick, it's at speed is the goblins? And at that you hear from the door. You hear someone say, "We will handle it!" And you look back, and there is Gleek, full out in his ambassador cloak, looking very smug and very pleased with himself. And he sort of struts in, and you see what you think is possibly an orc skull that is now kept at his belt, which means he's been working very quickly, obviously. And so he's got it at his belt, and he says, "Gleek will see that Nightstone will be protected with Big Boss. All we need is food, twice a day." And he grins. And Morak looks at you. He says, "You told them we'd give them food twice a day so that this thing could protect us?"
Yes, we did.
Yes, they did.
It was a good idea at that time, I promise.
And he shakes his head and he says, "Beggars can't be choosers. All right, I'll make you some stew or something. That'll be your first installment." And Quake says, "I will supervise," he says.
I'm pretty sure the goblins are not as have like different tastes
They'll
than we have.
just eat.
They talked about having some, like old spoiled meat and stuff. So we need to find out what they eat. So maybe this could actually turn out well. And yeah.
And Gleek nods furiously and he says, "Yes, I am cook. In my land, I know of many things. It starts with maggots." And then he puts his arm kind of around Morak, who sort of gives you this horrified look. And he kind of guides into the kitchen and he says, "Do you have rotting, spoiled, moldy cheese?" And Morak's like, "What in the..." And then the door closes behind them and you can kind of hear them arguing back and forth.
Well, I think that went well.
I look at
good work today.
I look at Urash and say, leaving this place sounds better by the minute. That's
I cough up another tooth. Yeah, you're telling me.
So what I want to say too, by the way, is that if you wish, Urash, you can rest. And I am going to give you guys a chance to rest now. You can rest either down here or you could rest up in the tower. It's up to you as to where you want to be.
I'm afraid of the Dentarim cutting my throat.
Yeah, I'll rest in the tower. I had a question. Actually. Whilst we're here, whilst we're sort of bumbling around, do you think there'd be much point in me using my speak to animals skill on Beaky? See if we can find out any information.
You can certainly do that if you wish.
Okay.
Let's see if I can.
Because it'll take a while.
Pull it out. Oh, right. It's a ritual, yeah? It'll take 10 minutes?
It takes about 10 minutes.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
We still need to talk to Siren anyway, so...
That's fine. If I leave you guys to do that, and then I'll go and talk to Beaky, as crazy as that sounds.
The last time somebody tried to talk to an animal, it resulted in a triple face palm, so just go ahead.
We're used to it.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's my compendium. Okay, so...
Did the Zentrum take their dead with them, or have the bodies just been left sort of lying around for now? I mean...
For now, they're sort of just lying around. Oh, speak with animals, not talk to.
I'd like to just saunter over and see if I could help myself to like a short sword, preferably a rapier, but a short sword will do if they don't have any.
There we go. Okay. They do actually have. They have not. They have more daggers. Is what they have. They do, however, have basic short swords. That's down there.
I will attempt to pilfer a basic short sword.
Okay. You don't really need to worry about pilfering it because they're dead, and no one is. So they're just lying there.
And no one cares.
No one seems to care. There's only a couple of them. I mean, most of the dead are the orcs, but there were a couple of the Zentrim that didn't make it.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
The orc chieftain. Did he have a club or an axe?
I believe he did actually. And let me tell you what it was. Let's see.
Because mine's currently just a great axe, but if it's a sexy looking great axe, then I might go and see what it is, or at least pick it up.
So check my monster manual.
Okay. Sorry to do this to you. Just like get all of your books out all of a sudden.
That's completely fine. That's the time to do it. I just need to find my info. Right. So it does have a great axe, yes. I mean, here's what the great axe is. It's not magical, but it looks well used. It looks like there are notches on it. It looks, there's blood caked into it. I mean, it looks like it's done some serious work, in the past. So yeah, you definitely get the impression that it's seen the wars a few times. Not magical, but it's definitely an awesome conversation piece. I mean, you say that.
I would assume, like, even if it were magical, I wouldn't know anyway. Like, I'd just see an axe. Presumably.
Yes. Right. But the point is, you you're pretty confident that it's not likely to be magical, and the reason is because you don't believe it's just very unusual for orc chieftains of this kind, war chiefs, to be carrying magical equipment of this sort. Magical equipment is not very common in the world to begin with, and generally it doesn't go to orcs, even orc war chieftains. It's possible, but it's like legendary. You know, like if you met, you would be like, oh, this is Gorbash, who is the greatest of the, you know, blah blah blah, right? So that's why.
No, that's fine. I'll leave it with him. He can be buried or burned with it or whatever.
Okay. And as far as the Speak with Animals things is concerned, I will come back to you as you're preparing that. Greta and Celsig, who are you guys going to talk to? Good night, Big Boss.
Siren.
Siren.
Siren, yes. I was like, Siren. I was Siren, yes. Okay, so you fill in. Yes, you know, I got this. You fill in Siren. And in case Chad is wondering who Siren is, I'm going to show you right now with the power of, where's the text? There it is. Kaplow! Silrin. There's Silrin right there. Sir not appearing in this picture at the moment. So you start chatting with Silrin and kind of fill him in. Urash, when you're done, when you're sort of done with this ritual, you look at the griffin, and while you've been doing this, by the way, Beaky has been fairly calm. I mean, Beaky has been sort of looking around every so often, kind of does like the, you know, type of thing. But it's been fairly calm for the most part. And now griffins are not particularly bright. They are not the wisest of creatures, but they have a kind of rudimentary intelligence. So you might be able to speak to them. The information you gather is, you know, it won't be very detailed, but you complete the ritual, and Beaky sort of tilts its head and looks at you.
Okay, can you come back to me in a minute while I think of some questions?
Sure. And the beak sort of turns back. Absolutely. Yeah. He says, absolutely you can. No. So he does that.
Absolutely. He just flies off back to the tower. I'll give you 10 minutes.
I'll give you 10 minutes to think about it. Palesteiner, is there a description of the hero somewhere? I don't know that we've actually put together a command, but maybe we should think about doing that, guys, in Moobot. Command of like who the character list of like who you are and like a link to them, because that's what we do for the other campaign in my channel, and maybe we should do that in here as well. So we don't have one right now, Palesteiner. I'll have to think about doing that, but I can tell you that Greta Goldenfire is a dwarven cleric. Celsig Mar is a halfling rogue, and Urash is a orcish barbarian, and Silrin is. Sorry, half-orc. I beg your pardon. Half-orc.
Thank you.
Half-orc barbarian. No, it's very important. It's very important. Half-orc. I don't mean to be orcist. Half-orc barbarian. And Silrin is an elvish sorcerer. And I can't go into details more beyond that because these guys don't even know yet all of his capabilities. But that's what we are. Yeah, half-orc. Sorry. There is also the elf. He's an elf. No, his name is Silrin. He's not just called the elf. Ladies and gentlemen, the elf, known as Elf. Yeah.
The elf formerly known as Elf.
The elf formerly known as Elf, right. Okay, so Greta and Celsig, so you guys have been speaking to Silrin. Do you want to do any other preparatory work before returning up the stairs / on Beaky up to the tower?
Personally, the only thing I think I need is generally just resting up and making sure we're supplied.
Okay. Greta, what about
Maybe
you?
turn over a few Enter-in pockets, see if they're carrying anything valuable. You know, since no one else is. Waste not, want not.
Okay. What about you, Greta?
Glorious.
I will see. I will see if Morak appears from the kitchen again at some time. We'll ask him if there's any other assistance we can lend, and then I will be up to the tower. And I'm so dying to find out how we're going to sleep up there. If we have some beds or anything.
Okay. There is, first of all, to answer your first question, there is some fearsome row, some fearsome battle of some kind going on in behind the closed door of the kitchen. And you think you hear shouting about rotting food, and then something about goblin cuisine, and then you hear something about, get out of the pot, wash your hands. There seems to be something is going on back there, and you're not 100% sure that you want to be involved with this fight.
Okay.
But it's definitely...
They're doing fine.
Smash.
Gleek will take care of this. I put all my trust into Ambassador Gleek, leave a gold coin for Morak, and grab all my stuff and go up to the tower after I've settled. Is Seren coming with us?
Silrin seems, although uncertain about this, drawn inexorably, as if against his will, with you as you go up the tower, almost as if he's being entranced or driven that way by some larger forces than him. So yes, he's willing to go. He's willing to go with you. Yeah. Hashtag trust and Gleek. Yes, definitely true. So he's willing to go up the into the tower with you for sure.
Making Nightstone great again.
Yeah. What was that?
Making Nightstone great again.
Make Nightstone great again. Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe I will take him. Well, maybe I will take a minute and a little longer than a minute and pray before I go up into that tower. But then I will go up.
Okay. You were able to do so. Selsig, once you've outfitted yourself basically and you're able to retrieve you have to be careful because the Zentrum, the remaining Zentrum now are going over to the bodies, so you're not really able to get, unless you want to steal a bread out from under their nose. You're right, exactly. Like now because they're starting to get ready to leave apparently, so that, but. You definitely see a few places, including there's a few people that you're able to see. You ask around the town, are actually able to get some replacement arrows, which are serviceable. They're not masterwork, but they'll get the job done. They'll fly more or less straight and stuff. So you're able to restore that. There are some provisions that you're able to get, mostly ones that you find in the form of like bread and cheese that is sitting on the table outside on the tables outside of the kitchen, within which there's now some banging and clattering, which is either hand-to-hand combat or pots and pans being slammed on top of stoves with a lot of shouting and yelling back and forth. But the door is still closed, and on the outside, in the tables, you've got the plates of food, so you're able to take those for your provisions if you wish. And Urash, have you in the meantime thought about questions you wish to ask?
Yes, I certainly have. So I've done the ritual, and I'm communicating with Beaky. I want to ask, what do you do for your master in the tower?
And it sort of looks at you and goes, "Roar, roar," and it sort of moves its wing around, and you get the impression that as it's moving its wing, like it seems to be mimicking flying, like it. And it sort of indicates that it flies around, and then it snaps its beak, like roar, pop, pop, pop. So flying and using its beak seems to be its big sort of jobs, essentially, from what you can tell.
Okay. Have you been searching for the Storm King yourself?
And he sort of looks at you and tilts his head back and forth, and he doesn't seem to know what you're asking him.
Okay.
Like, he doesn't know what that means.
My last question is, where have you been? Where have you searched?
And he tilts again, and then kind of feebly waves a wing, like as if to say, like, I've flown everywhere. So he flaps his wings, and then he goes, "Roar," and then shakes his beak. So flaps his wings, and then that. So the indication is very vague, but it's kind of like everywhere and no luck. Although he doesn't know exactly what it is, but he's been asked to fly places and hasn't found what he needed to, apparently.
Cool. Thank you very much.
All right. You're taking Beaky back up. Selsig, are you taking the stairs? Or are you... I know what Greta's doing.
Guess I'll take Beaky.
Okay.
Come on, Selsig. It'll be fun. Just
as,
think of what we did a second ago,
ascends
but in
800
reverse.
feet of stairs, Selsig and Urash get on the elevator. And Beaky sort of looks over his head. It's like... Roar! And it almost sounds like it's counted like raw, raw, and then starts going like immediately jumps forward. You're like so again almost fall off and spiral up and up. And this time, Selsig, you have the experience of like looking up at the sky. As you're doing this, so you're like looking straight up at the sky, like the G forces like causing your cheeks to, as you're like going up. And Urash, thank you for the follow on my channel, Milksum. Welcome to the Argonauts. It goes up and up and up and up, and you end up flying up, and then he flies up till he gets to the top level where you see the big wizard's hat, and then he flies straight towards the glass. So like it's just walk, and you're like and then like at the last second the glass is like poof, and and he goes flying through and then skids to a stop on the straw. Urash, this is awesome. I mean, like this, this is the best ride ever.
Amazing.
So he stops, and there's only a couple. Looks like Squawker and Wingding are there. Claws seems to be out. So Squawker and Wingding kind of use they touch the head of Beaky, and they kind of nuzzle him. As Celsig, you kind of tumble off, sort of like, thank God I lived like that time again. And so yeah. And Zephyros is not here, but eventually you hear his voice booming down from the first floor, so from a distance. Welcome, my friends! Have you returned? And will the villagers allow their champions to depart?
Yes.
I get the feeling they'll be quite happy about that.
Okay. And his voice drifts up, saying excellent, kind of drifts up. He says, well, why don't you come down here so you can rest? And you guys look around. Yeah, you guys look around, and there's like a big hole in the center of the room, and there's no stairs, obviously. And then you hear, come on, come down.
How do we get down?
Why, you simply fly. Oh!
There we go.
Woohoo! I forgot that you cannot fly. I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Please do not take offense at my misunderstanding of the younger races. Just a moment. And then you see, sort of coming up, and I'll see if I can replicate this on stream. You see his picture like lifting above the hole, as he's coming out. And he says, as he sees you, welcome back. Yes, let me take you down to the place where you may find some rest.
Why, thank you. Pop my liver back in.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm quite exhausted.
Okay. So let's see. Let me make sure about this. Okay. So he says, so he brings you down to the second floor, and he says, and actually let me bring you guys over to that map. For XP purposes, this counts as Celsig and Urash defeating the Griffin. No, there hasn't been any defeating the Griffin. That is not what's happened. And actually, guys, are you able to bring your figures over, or did I have to copy that for you? Because you're...
No, I think you had to copy that for us.
I had to copy it? All right, so let me do that just quickly.
Yeah, I think so.
Let me copy it. Okay, let's get that. All right. There's you, completely to scale, Celsig.
Dun, dun, dun.
There you go, completely to scale. I will get your other guys' figures over there in just a minute. Let's see.
So, Mr. Zephyros, how long would it take us to get to somewhere like Bryn Shander?
Let's see. And he says as he's attending to his orb, who have I just put out there? Can you guys?
Me. That's. I'm on the far right.
I'm at the top.
I do have
I'm
all
here.
of you. Okay, all right. So I just need to bring Silverin over, and let me just do that quickly, and then I'll answer that
I'm sat in the corner of the bed.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, so you actually would need to kind of like jump up on, like to get onto it, because.
Okay, so I could do an athletics check.
Sure, actually, you can do an athletics check.
Oh
Why
no!
Not? Why not? I won't make you do an acrobatics check. Oh, so you like? All right. So how do? No. You tell me. I'm not going to tell you. How do you get up on this bed? You tell me.
Landing.
How do you get up on this bed? You tell me.
Backwards.
Okay, so you just leap back, and all of a sudden you guys hear Cirque du Soleil music, like Stella, Stella, oh, as he's like flying back, and there's like all these weird acrobats suddenly appear, and you look over because you hear this sound for a minute. It's confusing. You hear this. And then you look over and you see he's like, wonderful, wonderful. Indeed, the younger races continually surprise me. Please do it again. Ha 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 ha. Woo!
I pass out.
So he says, well, Man, echoes. Well, I was actually planning to suggest that you do that, so that's probably about right. I will sleep in the eyrie with the griffins. They are very, very soft, and will be good to lie my head upon. You, on the other hand, can be on this bed. And as you can see now, the scale, which I don't know if the scale shows on this map. Yeah, it's 10 feet. So this bed is about almost 30 feet by 30 feet. Okay, this is a big, big bed.
My kind of bed.
Yeah, exactly. Cirque to GOG. Exactly, Izzy's. Outstar, outstar. Right. So, so you guys get up on there. Can get up on the bed, and he says, "As for me, I will be upstairs if you need me. I suggest we all get some rest and set off for what was this town you asked to be taken to?"
Rinshender.
Ah, yes, the place of the 10 towns. I know it well. We will set out in the morning then. But I must ask you, my friends, and he gets serious for a minute and he says, "This orb you see behind me, I must ask you not to touch it. It is the control mechanism for my tower, and if you were to touch it, well, many bad things could happen, and we wouldn't want that, would we?"
No,
No.
not at all.
No.
Good. I am most glad to hear it. In that case, I will depart, and I bid you all a pleasant good night and good dreams. And as he lifts up, you hear him going, "Ha ha 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 ha!" Woo! Right. Now, the one problem I want to mention here is, so Celsig, you're actually not up on the bed yet.
Yeah.
So the only one right now who's snoring away is Urash, but Greta and
Yeah,
Celsig,
the
you guys
gorgeous.
right now are on the floor, kind of looking wistfully up at the bed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh darn it. Okay, I would like to have some rest, so, yeah. I can see, maybe can I just pull myself up by the sheets if they're hanging down, or can I
Sure,
climb
make
up the
an
bed-
athletics
the
check
bed
for me.
posts?
Make an athletics check for me. You're going to try to pull the sheets. Fortunately,
Sorry,
Urash
guys.
is weighing them down, so that might help.
Could
Weighing them
didn't
down, they're
even
30
lower a rope.
They're 30 feet by 30 feet. How light are these bloody sheets?
Oh, this doesn't bode well for me.
But there's the thing you don't realize though, they're silk.
I rolled it.
Oh, I
It's
see.
just off to the left.
Nights in white satin. Yeah, 21. You have no problem with this, Pyron. Greta, you've had many experiences of climbing up massive 30-foot wide beds before. I mean, that
Yeah,
happens all the
yeah.
time.
You do this like a pro.
Yeah. So you climb up the side and you pull yourself over onto the bottom of the bed, and you're up there, and it's a massive bed. You're like, wow, this is a big bed, and there is Urash sprawled out. Snoring away. And Celsig is down there looking at you sort of forlornly. And these are silk sheets, by the way, Greta. They're very comfortable, very soporific. I mean, very sleep-inducing. They're very, like,
And I am
you could totally
bleeding
feel-
all over them.
They seem very, very comfortable. Also, the 30-foot means you have lots of room if you don't want to be next to Urash's blood.
I
Recommend that one.
I look over the edge of the bed and extend my arm towards Celsig. You need a hand?
I will attempt to climb up.
So I need you to make an acrobatics check to see if you can reach Greta's hand for me, Celsig.
Oh, that's lucky. I've got a higher dex mod on that one.
Indeed.
Yeah, I knew this would happen when
So
everyone else got
you're
good
like-
rolls.
So you're like, I got this. And like you don't quite make it. You kind of, Greta grabs for you. And you're like, whoa, and then doosh, back with your head on the ground. And you're like, damn it.
I don't got this.
Lower rope.
Ooh, that's a good one, Jedi. Thank you. Yes, I'm gonna save that right now.
Yeah,
Hold on, let me do that right now. That's cool.
they are not available.
Thanks, Jedi. That's actually really useful. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna add that to the.
Good guy, Jedi.
All right. There we go.
Okay.
Over here.
Okay. Celsig, let's... A rope? Do I have a rope? I don't have a rope.
God damn it, I've got the rope.
Yes,
I
you've got the rope.
I have a rope. If you see the rope like on my back or something, you can just take that.
I don't think no, I'm not searching your stuff.
Never wake a slumbering barbarian.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no, I can't even help you because you're not touching me at that moment.
Right now, thank you, Jedi.
Come on, let's just don't give up. Try it again.
Okay, I'll try climbing or grabbing Greta's hand.
All right, let's do that acrobatics check again.
Use
Okay.
Urash's intestines.
Oh dear.
Jesus. I don't know how wounded you think you actually are, but I'm here to tell you that at the
Just,
5
you know.
hit point level, at the point that you're able to move around and ride a griffin, you do not have your
Yeah, no.
entrails outside of your body. It
Yeah,
would
I'm
be
not allowed.
worse. I mean,
see-
I
you
hate to
see,
spoil your
Urash
mood because
climbs
I
the
know
bed.
I know you're loving the image, but I just got to be honest with you.
It's another version of the man flu.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I know exactly.
Barbarian wounds. They're
Barbarian
much more significant than normal
Okay,
wounds.
do we get him up with a 9?
Sorry. So you got? Did you get a 9? I didn't even. I
9.
was looking over.
9.
No.
Okay. So you're like, and you're like, you feel like you're almost there. Like you're almost, you were right that you have it within you, you feel, Celsic. You
Yes.
feel like you have the will, you have the tools, you have the talent. It's just a matter of actually getting up to the hand.
I will go and take a run up this time.
It's just a matter of doing what you're doing, but doing it better.
Doing it better.
That's all
Now,
it
I
is.
do have a
Just
question. Now, of course, you could if you wish, Celsig. I do have to say that anyone who is, I will do this. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but maybe this is appropriate. Anyone in my chat who knows from my channel who has the power to inspire, you can inspire Celsig if you wish. That means he gets advantage. So chat,
Get on the
if
bed.
one of you with inspiration wishes to do so, you may inspire Celsig to get up on the bed so that this poor halfling can get some sleep. So does one of you with inspiration, and those of you who are in my who come from my channel know about this, have you the ability, do you wish to inspire them? Non-stop has inspiration. Non-stop will inspire. I'm just going to make a quick note of that. Non-stop.
Who will inspire this wretched halfling?
Well done, non-stop. See, that's the kind of... Okay. Because you do have one, right, non-stop, I believe? I'm pretty sure you have an inspiration. Non-stop, can you remind me if you do? I think you do. You do have an inspiration that you have, right, non-stop? Right? Let me just confirm before I have him roll this as I wait for the 1,000-second delay. Maybe, yes, possibly. Yes, you do. I don't. I have.
Delay.
Maybe. Oh, God, this delay. Come on. Yeah, you haven't
That
used it this
delay,
month.
though.
I didn't think so. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, man. Non-stop. No, give much love to Non-stop. Can we get some applause? That's right. You used...
Yeah.
That's true. Non-stop helped you last month, guys. If you remember, he was the one who inspired Greta. So, wow, you were like you inspired
Non-stop.
GOG. Non-stop, man. Good guy, Non-stop. All right, so go ahead and roll that at advantage, Celsig.
Okay, so that's a double roll then, yeah?
Yes, and you take the higher of the two results.
Okay. 13
13.
and... Oh, for God's sake.
You could take the 13. That is enough.
13,
The
yeah.
9 would not have been.
Okay.
So you do it. You're like, "Rrr, and you succeed. And yes, exactly as you were just saying, Screaming Joypad, just like you were saying, Mike. He grabs on and there's like, da, ba, 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 da, like he's climbing up, dun, 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 dun. He gets onto the bed. Woo! Like, and you're there and you're like,
Epic
you have
struggle of our
succeeded.
stream.
Like you're standing above like Rocky above the stairs, like with your arms outstretched. And Greta, you're there. I don't know what you want to do with him, but he's just like, woo! I did it.
I will see if I can actually lie down on that pillow without suffocating. And
I'm
that's
going to
it.
put myself in the middle of the bed because I'll be damned if I'm going to roll over and fall 30 feet in my sleep.
Yes, you speak the truth. That is definitely a concern that could be there otherwise.
Damn, that is a good point.
Yes. So you place yourself in the middle of the bed, and you're able to do that, and your rest begins. You'll be happy to know that you guys are able to get a full rest, which means that you will be able to you'll get half your hit dice back, first of all. It means that you can restore, pretty much what this is going to mean in practice is restore all your health, okay? and then you have half of your hit dice available to you that's restored. And in fact, you know what? Because you guys also leveled up, I'm not even gonna make it complicated. You have all your health and your hit dice and everything back. You are fresh as daisies because you all leveled up anyway. So we might as well just do it that way. It'll be easier. So you guys are back at maximum. So Celsig, you're at 27 hit points, that means. Greta's at 32, and Urash, you are at 38.
38.
Yeah, luck saving throw. Yeah, Sharian. So when you actually get to the other side, I really wanted to do that, but I thought it wouldn't be appropriate because it really is the giant's bed. But I really wanted to put a rope ladder on the other side of the bed and just be like, God damn it. But no, that is not the case. Okay, so you guys rest with no problem. And when the morning comes, bright and early, you hear what originally sounds like kind of a cock-a-doodle. And you're like, a rooster? The hell? You're like, cock-a-doodle. And then you realize that it's actually not a rooster, but Celsig, you wake up to see peering down from the hole in the floor above you is Beaky. And Beaky is like, has its head poked down. And it's like, quack, 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 like as it stares at you. As it's staring through the hole at you.
I just look at him and go, I hope you've had breakfast.
And then it ducks its head back up. And then a second later, you see like something thrown down, and it lands just on the side of the hole. Something is lying on the ground here.
Okay, I will attempt to climb down and have a look.
Okay, this is not a difficult one, but make an acrobatics check to get down on the floor for me.
Okay, acrobatics.
Actually, dexterity, but if you have acrobatics, then that's fine.
3.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any inspiration?
I love how all the inspiration is used to get him on or off the bed.
Okay,
Yes, go ahead.
Do I see him like sliding off the bed?
You're not awake yet. You're not awake yet.
I have a griffin crowing into the room, and I'm not awake. That's good.
Celsig wakes first. So the way you explained to me,
then you'll be awake.
Right. So you actually you do manage to land not well, but it's not one of those Avengers I land on the ground, Captain America with my shield up type of deals. It's more or less like falling, stumbling around like you might have sprained something, but you don't actually really hurt something. And you look over and you see that the item which is on the floor looks to be this horrifically mangled rabbit. Like it looks like it might have at one point been a functional rabbit, and it's very dead and half eaten. And as you look up, you see Beaky looking down, Whoa! And then it ducks its head back up again.
That's breakfast.
The only thing I can think of is I pick up the rabbit and attempt to throw it at Urash.
Okay. I
don't know why, but it's the only thing that's come to mind.
Go ahead and make a simple roll of 20 for me, a d20.
Just roll a 20.
Yeah, just a d20.
No,
pretty good throw. Let's see. So you, Urash, you're like, and you're in your dream. You are in this this incredibly comfortable hot tub, looking up at the stars. And there's like just the sound of like you hear some of the sounds. You hear like this bizarre in the distance. It sounds like a. You're like but you kind of don't pay much attention to that. Like you're just enjoying the luxurious feeling. And then all of a sudden you look up and you see randomly appearing out of your vision something flying at your face. And you look over and you see something, and then and you wake up to find yourself on top of the bed and to find yourself looking at a mangled, bloody rabbit.
This is like a regular, normal-sized rabbit.
Yes.
Like
it's a pretty good sized rabbit, but I mean, it's normal size. But it's kind of a good, like a adult, large rabbit, but it's definitely a rabbit, yes. And you look down to see Celsig. No.
I've had mine. Room service.
Celsig, where did this even come from? Where did you catch this?
Beaky brought it.
Oh. Thanks, Beaky. Well, that's breakfast sorted. I'll chuck it back to Celsig. Right, cook that. We'll have it.
I pull out a ration, sit down, and start eating it.
So as you're about to sit down, all of a sudden, something comes flying down at your head, and landing right by your body, Celsig, is some other like that lands there. And you look over and you see that this is not a rabbit. You're not sure what this is. It's an opossum or a fox that was once you don't know, and you look up, and again, Beaky, roar, and then pulls back again.
I think he's trying to fatten us up.
I think he thinks we're rubbish hunters.
Greta, with this second, you wake up to see, you see Urash staring at a bloody rabbit. Or no, you tossed it back down to him. So you're actually,
Yep.
Urash is kind of like, looks, in much better sort of shape and is kind of looking at the edge of his bed. You see Selsig sitting cross-legged next to two mangled somethings. And then you are, lying in this very comfortable bed.
My initial reaction here would be to ask Selsig why he's sacrificing small animals.
No, he so far he hasn't been the religious type, so no.
So far. It's always the quiet ones.
I might still like get him on the side of Faltos. You never know. So that's why I say so far. So I move to the bed. I look down, look at Selsig, look at the dead animals, and like, what? How? Where did you get those from?
I found him.
You. That means they belong to somebody else before. If you say find, right?
Okay, they found me.
And
Oh, God.
Greta, as you're looking down at him, you suddenly see this plummeting something going through the hole, like, and then you hear this, and then you hear, well, you silly ones, Beaky, is this you? And you look down, or you look up, and you see Beaky like, raw, and then ducks his head back. And then you see the head of Zephyros emerging, and on the top of his head is this other dead something that's on the top of his head. And he comes up and he says, well, my friends, it appears Beaky has decided to bring you some food. He must like you. He only brings food to people he likes. And he kind of cleans the whatever the hell it is. This thing looks like a mix between like a cat and a dog and a chicken. You don't know what the hell this is. It may have been that Beaky just got a bunch of stuff and then just like kept them in his stomach before he was ready to throw them to you. You don't really know, but they
No.
definitely do not look undigested completely. And he says, well, this means that Beaky really thinks that you're worth paying attention to. Of course, I already knew that, but you are full of surprises. How was your rest?
Very restful, thank you.
I feel wonderful. Sorry about the mess of your sheets.
And he says, I just realized that I keep calling you a dwarf. Why do I keep calling you a dwarf? Are you a gnome or a dwarf? You're a dwarf, Greta. Or are you a gnome?
I'm a dwarf.
You are a dwarf. This is a dwarf,
yeah.
Jedi. I was really confused because I'm like, what? You got a halfling and you got a dwarf and you got a half-orc. I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting that wrong.
I think
And
it
an
was
elf.
the.
Oh, you were thinking it was
rivalry
Saber?
between-
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I see. Yes, we do have other gnome rivalries. That's true in the other campaign. That's true. But all of a sudden I started
we're-
doubting myself.
There was so far there was no rivalry between those. I mean, Celtic
No.
is like that to everyone.
I think it was the playful
I was just
rivalry where
bored.
Selsig threw a rabbit at my face.
I was just
Oh,
bored
okay.
and wanted someone to talk to.
Yeah, maybe Darksaber's a gnome but is ashamed and claims he's a halfling because of the stigma. That's right.
No, that's really RPing your character.
Yeah,
isn't
that's really
it?
into it.
That is.
Yeah, so yeah, he asked how your rest is.
Sephiroth. Oh God, I'm still saying this wrong, right? Sephiroth.
It's Zephyros.
Sephiroth.
Zephyros or Zephyros.
Zephyros.
Yes.
Zephyros. Is there like a place where we could wash and have breakfast, maybe?
Oh, yes, certainly. In fact, we're heading to one of those now. And, he says, and he kind of smiles at you, and he says, you're welcome to come up if you wish and see. And he puts his hand out.
Okay, let's get on it.
Yeah.
All of you, or just one of you, or?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go.
All right. So he lifts you guys up, and as you look, you see as you get up to the front. First of all, there's only two of the griffins. Obviously, Beaky, who is there, looking rather pleased with himself for a griffin, and Claws seems to be there, but there's no Wingding or Squawker at the moment. And as the tower is going, you can actually see that it is rushing forward. Now, you guys don't hear wind. You don't hear like any kind of stuff. Like it's rushing forward like at a prodigious rate. You have no idea how fast, but this is going really fast. And he says, "I took the liberty of beginning our journey before you awoke. You younger races have a tendency to sleep in. Your lives are not so long as to spend all of that time sleeping in them, I think. But in any case, you soon will find yourselves at a place where you can wash, my dear." And you see that the tower is racing towards what looks like a range of mountains. And the mountains are coming very quickly. Now, if you guys have ever seen mountains, you'll know that you see a mountain in the distance, it takes you a while to get to the mountain you see in the distance, right? Like it takes a while. This thing is like bigger, 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 bigger. Like, you know, it's like really fast. And he says, "I certainly hope that when we arrive, that there won't be anyone occupying the place. I hope we can have you bathe, but sometimes we have to wait in line, you see."
What?
Where are we headed?
What?
And he says, "Why, to the breakfast nook, of course." And as he says this, the
I'll look
tower
around.
suddenly like tilts and starts heading directly, like not straight to the ground, but like tilts and starts heading directly towards one of the mountains. And, you know, faster and faster and faster. And after a minute or two, you see what looks like this massive plateau that is on the top of this mountain, almost like as if someone just cut off the top of it, basically cut off the point. And he's headed right straight for it, like the tower is just like tuk, 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 like straight for it. And he's smiling. He kind of is not paying total attention. He's sort of looking off. He's petting the head of Claws, and you know, is kind of chatting, sort of whispering something, you can't really hear what, to Squawker. And he's just like dun 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 as it gets closer and closer and closer. And you know, and you hear him singing something like, "Wanna be a spirit in the sky. It's where I want to go when I die." And none of it, you know, and he's doing all this stuff.
Okay, I think we're gonna die.
And then he says, "What? No. Oh, no, certainly not." And he descends very casually to the second floor. And after a moment, you see the tower's like tuk, 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 and then starts slowing down. Now, here's the weird thing. The tower slows down, not to a dead stop immediately, but it's like going from fifth to second gear, right? Like it slows way down, but you do not feel yourselves move at all. Like you don't get thrown back. You don't get like, it's just, you know, you are like as if you're just standing on the floor. And then the tower levels out and then gradually settles onto the plateau. And then you see Zephyros's head appear above, and he says, "Well, my friends, your bath and breakfast await." And he holds his hand up.
Food.
I'll,
Second breakfast.
Yeah, I'll bite. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The tower has inertial dampeners, yes. The tower is the newest category in Mass Effect Andromeda / Elite Dangerous. So he brings you all the way to the bottom, and then you exit to find yourself on a plateau that you saw yourself heading towards. This is a plateau that is sort of waving grass on it, sort of high grass. But there is a stand of trees not very far, and you are thousands and thousands and thousands of feet up. This mountain is very high, and in fact, it's even a little bit hard for you guys to breathe up here. Like the air is a little thin, so you're kind of like, whoa. I mean, it's not like where you're going to pass out, but you definitely feel it. It will be hard to run here. But it's also the air, having said that, although it's thin, it's clean. There is no pollution from smithies or anything like that up here. I mean, this is like fresh air. It's just less of it than you're used to. But there's fresh air. And so he starts not striding, but again floating ahead of you, and he says, "Well, come on. I don't know how long the breakfast will last with our other guests attending."
other guess.
So, Zephyros.
As you say this, the two you hear caw, and you see Claws and Squawker flying over your heads from the top, like basically outpacing Zephyros to whatever this grove of trees is. So yes, and then he says as he's moving, are you moving with him? Are you like he's moving pretty slowly? So are you going to try to catch up with him, or
I'll move with him. Okay. I'll move with him, but I want to ask him, can he tell us more about this breakfast nook?
Why, certainly. It is a place that I have used now for many decades. It has several things to recommend it. First, it has a natural spring, water which is always fresh, something which I find I sometimes need. Oh, I could magically create water, but there's nothing like the real water of a spring to make me feel rejuvenated and refreshed. And, of course, the other feature of this is a number of flat rocks that are well suited for the breakfast that I have provided for you.
Okay, lead the way.
And so he continues to float, forward. And you follow him. Are Greta and Celsig, are you guys bringing up the rear? Are you following him?
Yep.
As well? Okay. So he brings you through the waving grass and everything, and eventually you find yourself at this this grove of trees, which you see now is basically one set of trees which look as if they have been planted here, not just naturally occurring, because they are ringing this area. And in the center of it is indeed this spring, but there are stone steps which descend from the plains into the spring, and you can see the spring is there, and there is also there's several stone what look like basins around it, and then you've got a couple of stone tables, a number of little flat stone tables there, and you smell this wonderful smell from this. All of you do. It is the smell of cooking. If you had to guess, it would be maybe sausage. Maybe there's some eggs in there. You think there might be some, we might be getting some pancakes going on here, something like that. But there is a delicious breakfasty smell, and it seems to be coming from one of the flat rocks.
Okay. I start speeding up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm now more interested.
You see that Squawker and Claws are now arrayed around one of the other tables and are tearing into something. You don't know what, but you're guessing it's very similar to what Beaky was dropping at you before, Celsig. They seem to be enjoying their breakfast, such as it is. And you try not to look and see if it's still squirming as they tear into it. You're not 100% sure if it's dead. You hope so. But the other table does not have this, and it's a large table for you, but it's big enough that, Urash, you could probably stand at it if you wish. And there are several huge benches, or at least it looks like that, rock formations of some kind. But again, it looks like they've been placed here by somebody. And it looks like they're at the right height so that if Celsig and Greta could get up there, which I won't make you do a check for, you could sit around the table there. And then on the other side of it is a very low to the ground bench, and as Zephyros gets over there, he kind of lowers himself, almost like as if you were in a Japanese restaurant, right? And you were sort of lowering yourself into the very low bench but below a low table. That's what it looks like. So he sticks his legs out, and they're basically underneath this table like he's a little kid, right, at a kid's table. And he's in front of this massive plate of like what looks like 15 omelets. I mean, like, it's just this ridiculous, and this massive pancake and something. You can't tell what's some kind of meat. And then there are smaller plates that have been set for each of you.
I definitely sit at the table.
Yeah. I also get out. It's just polite. It's just polite. I get there.
Okay. I just fill my face.
Mm-hmm.
I have no social graces about this. I will just start eating.
I am always curious to see the way that younger races consume food. I find it endlessly fascinating. You do have so much physical connection to it, don't you? He says, as Urash has got like egg everywhere. Meanwhile, Greta, as you're watching, you see that he has what looks like a large fork, like giant-sized fork, which is picking up eggs, but he's not holding it. The fork like lifts up eggs from the plate and then floats to his mouth, and then he eats it, then comes back out and floats back down, and he says, delicious. I always find griffin eggs to be the best taste of all. And then he looks at all of you and he says, I'm kidding, of course. I wouldn't do something like that. These are only the best basilisk eggs. And then he eats basilisk. He continues to eat these eggs. And they certainly smell delicious.
I turn to Greta and say, "Does this mean we're going to turn to stone?"
I'm not sure, but I might be.
Yeah, Urash, these are delicious.
Weren't there sausages? I'm looking for the sausages.
There are indeed sausages of some kind. It's some kind of links of some particular meat, although you don't really know what kind of meat. But there definitely is. They're there.
I'm going with that.
I'm trying a bit of everything. Why not?
So this meat is wonderfully. There's a spice to it, like a little bit of a spice, a kind of a snap. The outer skin is crunchy. As you are eating it, it is like, this is no joke. Good sausage. This feels like this sausage is super fresh, like super delicious, filling. You know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jedi. I mean, so delicious. The juice just squirts out, and it's like just delectable and just cooked at the right temperature, and it's everything. So, yes, I think I've emphasized that enough. So,
okay, we get it. It's nice food. Okay,
and also the eggs. Yeah, so it's delicious. And Zephyros continues to eat from his plate. And as you guys, go ahead.
I have no problem consuming whatever this is and wherever this came from. So if my learned friends wish to ask questions about this, they, go right ahead.
No, I've got a pretty good plate going on. I've got the sausage, I've got egg, some omelettes mentioned, got a couple of pancakes on there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is that all? I just want to make sure that I just want to make sure that you guys were okay. So you're good. All right.
Yeah,
so you're just eating away.
I'm just stuffing my face. I don't care what this is. I don't care where this came from. I don't care who made it. No, at least not yet. Anyway, I'm starving.
So, do you like my breakfast nook? He says.
Yes, it's a wonderful place. Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure. I love bringing the younger races here. This is, of course, completely inaccessible. There is a sheer drop of thousands of feet around each side of this plateau. But here in my comfortable little breakfast nook, we can eat like kings.
You say you like bringing the smaller races here, so you've brought somebody here before us?
Well, I wish I could have. You see, I built many of these things to welcome the younger races, but they never wanted to come with me. They all were frightened and screamed and ran away. So you're really the first ones here, and I'm glad you enjoy it. I made these benches to be specially designed for your height. And of course, the trees are for your protection as well. I remember planting those, when was it now? 80 years ago, perhaps, as saplings. And they've grown up to be wonderful guardians of my breakfast nook.
Yeah.
Guardians?
Anybody taking that one? Nom 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 nom.
Guardians?
Well, yes. They are, of course, not movable guardians, but they do a good job of protecting from the prying eyes of a dragon or a periton or a wyvern, anything that might be found here. That's all that I mean. They are certainly not living trees, my friend. But wait, what a brilliant idea. My friend Selsig, what a brilliant idea if I made these not trees, but dryads. Imagine how much better the nook would be. We would have waiters, waitresses, perhaps even a large bark-covered maitre d'. The possibilities are endless. And he sort of goes off and he stands up and he's got, again, the staff. Every time you see the staff, it's like you don't see it until he does something with it and then it's just there. This happens all the time. And he's like walking around and you see him start tracing in the air what looks like maybe a plan, like the inside plan of like a building or something. And then on the inside of it, he's like putting things and he's drawing something in giant, but he's making what looks like a very crude drawing of like women with a tree head. And he's like, question mark, and then he puts next to it like a couple of men with tree heads, and he's like underlines question mark, like he's scanning something out.
I think dryads like it more in the woods, so I don't think that these trees will suffice, so
You
that
are
might
correct.
be a bigger project.
Yes, you're right. What I need to do is create a grove of trees. That would be wonderful. The Dryad's own grove of trees. They would be safe, protected, and would enjoy themselves, frolicking, or whatever it is that Dryads do, until we came, and then they could help us with the breakfast nook. This is wonderful. I can see the possibility for timeshares. There's so many possibilities with this place.
Yes. Yes.
I am so
Of
grateful
course.
to all of you. You have such wonderful ideas. And he continues to sort of do his thing. You notice by this point, by the way, that Claus and Squawker have now completed their meal, which seems to have involved about 3 or 4 large bites for each of them. And now are sort of, they seem to be butting beaks, like banging into each other. And he looks over at them and he says, "Oh, now, please go and play outside my breakfast nook, you two." And they kind of look at him and tilt their heads and then, "Wah!" And then they take to the air and they're sort of flying around and kind of bonking into each other, but it obviously doesn't seem very serious. He says, "Well, my friends, we should probably be on our way here soon. It is a very, I think, safe journey from here to Bryn Shander, but one can never tell. Do you have any questions for me, though, before we depart? It is not always that I have the chance to eat with the younger races in my breakfast nook. In fact, it's never that I'm able to do that, until now.
So I've finished my meal and it was delicious. Picking bits of egg out of my teeth and eating them. I was like, so did you create this place?
He says, "Yes, well, not the plateau, but it was I who laid down the dirt, who caused the grass to grow. It was I who planted the trees, who brought the stone table and the stone benches. It was I who brought all of these things because, well, I wanted to provide something nice for the younger races. I'm so glad someone can share that with me now."
Have you never shared it with anybody before?
"Well, no, you see, the giants think that I'm, well, not all there, I suppose, and the younger races never go with me anywhere because they just want to run away and scream. So, it's nice to have you here, able to do this. I'm glad to see this get some use. Perhaps you can spread the word and let people know that not all giants are, well, frightening."
Well, that might be difficult at the moment while people are dropping boulders on people, but we'll try our best.
"Good. I hope that we can get past this little unfortunate unpleasantry. After all, what could be intimidating about someone like me?" And as he says this, like, ha ha ha, like the wind, the grass blows slightly from his breath, and even the griffins up there, like, "Wah!" like as they're flying around. And yeah.
It's all a matter of getting to know each other.
Indeed. So, when you are ready to go, please let me know, and we will depart, of course.
So, looking for King Hekaton up there in Icewind Dale, what kind of hints do we have? Where should we turn to? Do you know anything?
I know only that he has a family. There are 3 other storm giants, his daughters. He loved them dearly, I know, and I imagined at some point he wished for them to inherit this kingdom. But I know nothing, and frankly have not been able to discover who runs the kingdom now. Whoever it is, they're not doing it particularly well, but one of Hekaton's daughter is in charge. I'm almost certain of that. What else can I say? Well, except that there are always political questions, intrigues, people who wish to be the leader of the ordning and those who wish to bring it low so they can be the ordning.
So, do you suspect... Sorry. So, do you suspect that the 3 daughters know where King Hekaton is?
I do not know. In truth, I am not even certain if the 3 daughters are still alive. You see, I have not been able to find any news of their whereabouts either. They may be in the original court of the king, but I have not wanted to fly that way. As I say, the giants, well, some of them do not appreciate my understanding of other races besides them. It is conceivable they would see my tower and decide that it would be best to, well, shoot it down out of the air rather than allow it to come to them. I would prefer not to spend my time warding off their attacks. It's why I wanted to see if there was a way that I could set things to right, so I could go back to the court and see the great throne of the king. But I have not been able to do so. Whether his daughters are there ruling in his place, whether they have died, whether no one is in the throne and we are all at anarchy, I am at a loss to say.
So we should have a look at that throne, I guess.
I suppose if you can find your way to it, but, well, the truth is it moves places.
How do you mean?
Okay.
The throne room and the castle itself are not always in the same place. Through a series of magical spells, none of them cast by me, but my mentor who taught me was involved with it, the castle is able to shift from place to place. My guess, my friends, is that you will need to gather some information before you can find where the castle is going to appear next. And moreover, it's probably, although you are wonderfully clever and have such wonderful potential, if I may say so, you are a little, small to be taking on giants at this stage. I might suggest you try to gain some knowledge and wisdom as you are doing your search. Asking questions of where the giants might be is a good start, but you must also build yourselves, become stronger, more powerful, and even more clever and courageous than you already are, which is considerable, of course, if you wish to face the giants. As I say, you will not always be able to rely on their beneficence. Many of them are cruel, and some cold. There are only a few who see the true value of all of you wonderful little people.
Yeah, I totally agree that fighting giants might not be a good idea.
Wow. No, yeah.
Right, everybody? Right?
No argument
Rush,
here.
right?
No.
I like how Marash right there was just like, yeah, wow, that's like he's got like, oh yeah, that's
Wow.
that's crazy. Like,
Yeah. Who'd wanna fight a giant? It's crazy talk.
Good.
Indeed.
Good. I'm glad we agree.
Yes, but he gives you some more information about some of the things that are in the area. Basically, the problem you have with him is that his knowledge seems to be like decades outdated. So he can tell you about stuff that happened like 60 years ago or whatever it was when he went nuts. But he can't really tell you anything that happened in the intervening time. He makes lots of references to sparkly lights and funny music and strange smells, and then he giggles a little bit. That's pretty much what he remembers of that time. But on the other side of it, he doesn't really know. And since he's been clear of it over the last few years, he hasn't been able to track down anything of what happened to the old court. Except using his magic, he can tell that there's definitely conflicts happening among and between the giants out there.
Good.
Okay, do we know the names of the daughters?
And he thinks about it, and he says, "Oh yes." In echoes, he says, "Oh yes. What were they? Well, I think they were named. What was their name? One of them might have been Mirren. It might have been Mirren. Mirren." Something like that. There's an M and an R and an N in it somewhere, I know that. And then, of course, there was Nim, and, of course, the king's favorite of all, Princess Sarissa. What a lovely child she was. She was the one who was closest to the king's mother. Queen Neri was dearly in love with the younger races. She was the one who told me the importance of respecting others as we respect ourselves. It was through her that I learned to understand the significance of those smaller than myself.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Okay.
So what's next?
So he says, we are, I imagine at this point, probably several days, I would say perhaps 2 days before we arrive at Bryn Shander. We will not be able to stop again, so whatever food we take with us is the food that we will use in the tower. And I have some extra food that I can provide to you all. Some pieces of jerky. What kind of it is? Let's see. Might be Periton jerky or hippogriff or maybe wyvern leg. I don't remember. But anyway, we have some that you'll be able to consume. And also, of course, I have heard that some of you are what they call vegetarians, and he says this with like great reverence, like vegetarians. My understanding, although I don't have it totally right, is that you worship carrots and radishes and heads of lettuce as gods. Is that right?
Absolutely 100%. Your knowledge is as huge as your generosity.
I just shrug.
I
and pick up another
elbow
sausage.
Celsic. Celsic! No!
I always knew
That's
it.
about right.
I have tried to put these heads of lettuce in honored positions. I don't really understand how you demonstrate your respect for your god by eating images of him, but I don't fully understand all the younger races' religions. There is another one that... No?
Celsic was misrepresenting that, or maybe he knew some very strange vegetarians. But a vegetarian just doesn't
Met an elf once.
Oh.
You can't just go around and lie to people.
Well, there was one little person once, one member of the younger race, who spent a great deal of his time telling me about these vegetables. In fact, he was the only one I ever encountered who didn't run from me screaming. I tried to ask him to come with me, but instead he kept telling me about the reasons I should eat only vegetables, and he kept saying that I should avoid eggs too. He had some odd name for it. It was sort of like Vigo or vegan or something, and he kept telling me that I would never be a true and real and good person unless I learned to act exactly like him. He was very forward for a vegetable worshipper. I don't really know why.
Sounds like a terrible disease.
Well, in any case, I have some of those vegetables for you. And he basically tells you that he's got vegetables and, different things that he's got, and also fresh water as well.
The elf is a vegetarian. He can explain it to you next time.
I cannot wait. Your friend seems very silent over there. He hasn't moved or indeed stirred since we began our journey.
Or indeed got on the bed or rested or anything.
I assumed it was an elvish thing.
Yes.
Drool coming down his mouth.
I assume so as well. I assume so too.
He kind of looks down at him. He says, "Well, you don't suppose he's angry with me, do you?
No.
I haven't violated some terrible...
No.
I would not want to insult him.
He's just a quiet temperament.
All right, that's good. He seems to be
could
very
say he's in
mysterious.
You could say he's in another place at the moment.
Oh, really?
His mind is wandering.
I see. Yes, I did actually, last night when I was asleep down on the first floor, I did actually hear someone making some sound, and it sounded something like bits of 8, but I didn't understand what it meant. I just assumed it was a dream.
Maybe he's dreaming of pirates.
No doubt. Elves are fragile, he'll get better. Yes, so he says all of this, and he says, I must tell you, of course, one other thing, my friends. All joking aside, when we arrive at Bryn Shander, and I place you down to fend for yourselves, I will not be able to stay around, you realize. I will have to be off on my journeys again. I certainly will return at some point, but if I am to attend to the town of Nightstone, and if I am to try to find my own information about what has happened to the giants, I cannot stay here, especially since the people of the 10 towns have a tendency to, again, scream and run away. So I must ask you to be careful, and to use your wits, of which you have so many, as you are proceeding on this journey.
How can we call upon you when we have found some information, or if we need you?
Well, I will make sure to check in upon you when I can. I have the ability to scry upon you magically. And I suppose if you are somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you could, of course, shout my name at the top of your lungs. Perhaps if I'm in the area, I could come to help you. All you need to do is simply shout, Zephyros! And he says this thing like, Zephyros, 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 Zephyros. Like it echoes out of the, out into the hills, the reverberate hills. And the griffins, one of them its claws kind of is like, raw, and Squawker takes the moment to like bash Claws in the stomach, and Claws like, pooh, like has the wind knocked out and falls. And then Claws like shakes its head, raw, and is like kind of looking at Zephyros, like a little sort of troubled or irritated. So yes.
Okay. Good. Yeah, then, if possible, I would like to have a moment alone for my prayers, and then
Certainly.
I'll be back at the tower.
Certainly. Don't forget to take any of the food you wish with you. I believe they call that, what is it, a basilisk bag, I believe? Think whatever you can bring, feel free to bring it with you. And he stands up and, not strides, but drifts off. And after a bit of hesitation, the griffins follow him, kind of, flying casually.
I'll just start packing meat into my backpack and
Okay.
jerky and foodstuffs.
Okay. So you can do that. There's a lot of food. A lot of it also is fresh, Urash. So as you're just throwing it into the sack, you're like pancakes, eggs. Like you are creating essentially like the breakfast stew mix. Like it's sack of breakfast. If you just want to.
I'm now basically carrying a second stomach.
A second stomach, right? It's a sack of breakfast, like if need be.
Or Rash invents the breakfast burrito.
It's a breakfast bag.
pretty much.
And as you look, you can actually see, like Greta can actually see what looks like maybe it's a little bit of sriracha sauce dripping out from the bottom. I mean, there's something like you don't know entirely, but there's some food drifting.
Squidge. That'll
actually
do
through there.
me.
Just a touch, just a little smidgen. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Um,
I wrap some stuff up into a few pancake rolls, and then I just find a sunny place and do my devotions.
Okay. Sounds good. It is a wonderfully quiet place up here. You are completely undisturbed. Celsic, what are you doing as this is happening? Orash has got his sack of breakfast. What are you doing, Celsic?
I'm filling up a sack of breakfast as well.
Oh, a second. Okay, so you have 2 sacks of breakfast.
But mostly just focusing on the meat so I don't end up with a stew.
Okay, right. So you're focusing on that. Yeah, not so much with the scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
All right. So you do that.
Takes
You
all
grab a
kinds,
lot
I
of food.
suppose.
Yes, exactly. You grab the food and take it with you. And Greta, as you continue to pray, sort of gather your devotion, you do feel the light of hope. Maybe it's the light of this place. Maybe it's the presence of Sephiros, the friendly if slightly addled cloud giant. But you feel yourself somewhat inspired by the possibilities of what could happen. Not inspired mechanically. Don't get too excited, but inspired.
I had something I wanted to do as well.
Exactly. So are you guys heading back to the tower?
Could I also pray to Tempest to wish us safety in our future endeavors?
How's that prayer go?
He goes, "Dear Tempest, please wish us safety in our future endeavors."
It's a very
Your
simple
loyal
straight
servant,
ahead.
Urash.
Dear Tempest, signed. Yes. I
hope
imagine
this
it
prayer
being like
finds you well.
Crom, okay, so you do that.
And
You
when
also
you
feel,
Guide my axe and keep my skin free from cleaving wounds.
and whether it's that or it's the connection to your own, the food that you just had, you feel definitely satisfied and comfortable, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yay, Tempest!
Yes, very much the case. Okay, so you guys start making your way back to then the tower. You guys climb into the tower, and it takes off again. And the next day or so passes relatively uneventfully. And Zephyros seems very pleased with the progress of affairs. And you're flying along. Below you, the mountains you begin to see are getting higher as you get closer. You can feel, sometimes you sort of ask Zephyros to let the windows drop just a little bit so you can feel the wind outside. And when you do that, first of all, there's an incredible rushing of wind, but also you feel the wind is definitely, the temperature is dropping. It's getting colder than it used to be. Also, hi to Hillness and hello to Kilgore Trout. It's getting colder than it used to be. As you are on the way along, you're sort of flying along, and on about midday of the second day, you spot in the distance. You are all sort of looking at various things. Selsig, you've kind of, you're kind of hanging out sort of towards, not quite near Beaky. Beaky is sort of like hanging out, like looking at you still with interest. Greta, you have taken the liberty of trying to do some organizing of the food which Urash brought, which is not a very possible solution, but you're doing what you can. And Urash, you're actually the one who, as you look out the glass, you see on this day of your journey 9 very thin and lightly armored humans who are riding giant vultures. They, and as you see them sort of flapping their wings, and as you look at them, you see one of them, as it gets close, has this horned helm, and as it's going towards the glass, points directly at the tower, and it lets out a call, and as it does so, all 9 of the vultures turn and fly directly to the tower. And I think that is where we are going to leave it for the session, as the vultures are heading towards the tower. I really was thinking about ending it at the breakfast nook, but I'm like, nope, I don't want to end it at the breakfast nook. So yes, because it is actually 8 p.m., guys, my time, which means we've gone for 3 hours, believe it or not. The time has gone. This was great, guys. You did very well today. I hope you enjoyed Mr. Zephyros and the Cloud Tower. And part of the reason, of course, I did want to. There is about to be a fight. Hopefully, it's one that Silrun will join us for. So hopefully, 8-Bit will be here. But that would be nice. But yes, so. Good work today. So yes, chat. If you guys, I hope you can give the players some love. They did a good job with RP. There's a lot of random stuff happening in this adventure, including cloud giant towers descending and stuff like that. But these guys have handled it very well. So let's give some love to the wonderful people in my party. And I'll work the other direction this time. Pyron, when are they going to see you next on the lovely GOGs?
Oh, I have to admit that is not totally. It cannot be affirmed right now, but it will happen, of course. But yeah, no, can't talk.
Okay, gotcha. No, all right. So not as of yet. Gotcha. But of course, you'll be back with us, definitely, regardless.
Yes, of course. Yes, I'm sticking to this group.
Awesome. I'm really glad. All right. Wonderful job today with Greta. Saber, when are we going to see you on, sir, on the GOGs?
I'll be right here tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. GMT. I think we're still on that at the moment, flipping time zones.
Yeah. Thank God that changes on Sunday. Good God, at least I only have one more to worry about.
Oh yes.
But I'll be carrying on playing through Indiana Jones and the Face of Atlantis,
which I've played and is good. It's good stuff.
Yes, I'm enjoying it. First time playing it, and you can always catch me on twitch.tv/darksaber2k as well, where I stream most days.
Lovely. Last but certainly not least, Screaming Joypad, Mike, where are we going to see you on the YouTubes and such things?
Nowhere. Probably. Nowhere. No. I've been ill for the last few weeks, so my content creation has been limited to nothing, essentially. I've been playing Torment Tides of Numeria, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's good.
Because it's brilliant. Yep. And other than that, I might try and stream at some point soon on my channel. You can check out my channel. It's twitch.tv/screamingjoypad, or you can check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/official Sarge. That's official SAAJ. And I shall leave you now with the dulcet tones of Freddie Merchantry. Love you all.
That's what I'm talking about. I love it. Thanks, guys. Great job. I will see you guys next month. I'll talk to you, obviously, well before that, but I will see you guys as part of this next month. Great job. Pyron, Saber, Mike, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All righty. Okay, that's going to do it for them. This is a lot of fun. I really... D&D is my favorite game because fun stuff happens all the time. So I know there was not a lot of combat in this one, and if you guys like combat, you'll get your fill next time. There will be more combat of like that next session. I am going to be back at you guys next week with Pen and Pixels episode 74. Next week, I am finishing Tyranny. Finally, I'm finishing Tyranny next week for sure, and then the week after that, I will get started with Torment, the game that Mike just mentioned, and I will be playing that for a while on Pen and Pixels, with the occasional D&D session here as well. On my channel, I'm going to be back on Friday playing Enderall Skyrim. I've also got my creative writing streams I do over there, and I did want to mention very quickly that Greyshade, my paperback of that has just come out. Greyshade is available now on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and all those places in paperback. So for those of you, I know it's available Amazon Germany as well, Amazon Canada, I believe. So those of you who have been asking me about getting a physical copy, your ship has come in. And Renegade Book 2 hopefully is going to be done soon, so I wanted to mention that as well. And also there will be D&D on my channel on Saturday. D&D on my channel with the Infinity and Beyond crew. And again, if you like D&D, or if you were a fan of GOG, you will want to come to that session because stuff is going to happen that will connect those things together in some way. And I won't tell any more than that, but you'll have a chance and see it when that happens. So that would be the way that it happens. So please consider doing that if you can. Please follow this channel. Please make sure you sub to this channel. Great emotes here. Please make sure you check us all out individually as well. Next up, I believe, is Kimp is going to be playing, not till tomorrow, though, I believe. I think I got the time actually right this time. But he is going to be speedrunning Outlast tomorrow for you, so please make sure that you're around for that. And otherwise, please make sure you follow all of our individual channels as well. For everyone here at GOG, thank you guys for being lovely, wonderful human beings. You guys are the best, and I will catch all of you wonderful people either on my channel or next week for the conclusion of Tyranny. Until then, great job to the players, great job to everybody, and I'll catch all of you wonderful people soon. Have a good night. Searching though I don't know.